I'm surprised you can remember Sarah. It's been such a long time.
Run along and change. Daddy's here. He's staying for a bite to eat.
Oh, God.
Daddy, you fancy a top-up?
Is the Pope Polish?
Well, this is a pleasant surprise, Roland.
No need to lie, Bastard. You're not in Parliament now. You look as though you've been down a coal mine.
Oh, this? This is called designer dribbles. It's all the rage around.
Is it? Wouldn't put it past those metropolitan pansies.
Well, let's make a start.
Okay, so there's a reason why I'm showing this.
Charcuterie, Daddy.
Shark?
Charcuterie. Cold meats. You know, it's a French word.
Oh, French. Might have guessed. You should know I never touch anything French. The last time I touched something French was in 1940. Whoa! Her name was Giselle. Whoa! I was pissing glass for a month.
And they say the art of dinner table conversation is dying out.
The ham's Danish, actually.
Still European, though, isn't it? Factory farm, saturated with phosphates and hormones, 2 mouthfuls and you grow tits.
So that's so that's what I wanted to show right there, because it's now understood that phosphates, maybe not hormones as much, but the phosphates especially, are incredibly bad for you. You know how there was that article a couple years ago it went viral. Every hot dog you eat, you take off 30 minutes of your life. Because and the main reason, if you actually read the article, I believe the main reason was, if I remember correctly, was the phosphates, and it's this preservative. And I just found this fascinating that this show from the 90s was, because this is the New Statesman, British TV is so much. The writing quality, there's no comparison. Okay, you guys have it down pat. You're geniuses. And just slyly throwing in commentary that is, what is it? 30 years later, over 30 years later, and it's now understood that this cantankerous old man was 100% correct.
Still European, though, isn't it? Factory farm, saturated with phosphates and hormones, 2 mouthfuls and you grow tits.
So yeah, I've been binging the New Statesman. Please tell me there's more than one season. There better be more than one season. I'm absolutely in love with this show. I've never seen it. Alan Bistard, I love Rick Mayall, of course, right? So I just haven't seen all of his stuff yet. But my God, so funny. He's a politician. But, true to his name, he's a total bastard. And, he gets in and he immediately starts, wheeling and dealing and dumping toxic waste, to save, to make some money. And he's selling the cops. He changes the law to arm the cops in the UK. And then he makes a deal with a foreign arms dealer to sell the police department these weapons, but they're incredibly cheaply made, and they blow up the first time they pull the trigger. It's a brilliant show. It's absolutely brilliant. The New Statesman. Watch it today. The first season's on YouTube. Welcome to the News Underground, folks. I'm Abandoned Nihilism. We're going to jump right into the headlines here. I think you've got enough bloviating there. I just wanted to just express my love for this amazing show. But yeah, no, we got lots of real news here. That's what we do here on the News Underground. We don't do the bloviating. God, it must be fun for other streamers, huh? Because they do the bloviating, right? Like the news part is 20 minutes of that, and then it's just right to the Twitch drama. He said, she said, high school bullshit. Okay, this isn't embarrassing. Am I supposed to, how do I know if I want to use this website? How do I know if I want to pay for this website? The advertising model needs to change. Okay, it's got to change. But no, so here's a quick cyber cuck update from yesterday's stream. Yeah, and it's not the good kind of assholes, right, Leon? I'm sure you got a couple tabs named asshole. Whoa! Hey-oh! Holy shit! getting gay up in here. Yeah, not the good kind. We'll just say that. But no, just a quick follow-up. Here's somebody who actually knows what they're talking about, not just some stupid douchebag on the fucking internet like me, who doesn't know shit but absolutely fucking hates Elon Musk and hates the Cybertruck. And, you know, it doesn't matter how much proof and how much evidence I show. People are just going to be like, you're a hater, you're a hater. Well, here's a multimillionaire who used to be the CEO of the company that's actually doing the thing that Elon Musk wants to do. Bro did not need to shoot me like that. Oh, come on. Come on. I know you got a couple tab groupings. Every guy has his go-tos. But no, so here's a guy who's, you know, used to be the CEO of a company that's actually doing the thing that Elon Musk wants to do, fully autonomous vehicles. Here's his opinion on what he saw at the presentation. Okay, this is, like I said, this is a professional, knows exactly what the hell he's doing, has worked within this very niche market. Okay, so don't take my word for it. All right, let's do our reading rainbow. It seems former Waymo CEO John Krafkick was unimpressed by Tesla CEO Elon Musk's much hyped We Robot event. And I gotta say, stupid name, derivative, doesn't roll off the tongue right. It's like, you could tell it's all Elon. You could tell it's just 100% Elon ego, Elon, right? They had, you know, he's the only speaker, really. You know, they had that guy for 30 seconds who introduced Elon. But it's all Elon. You could tell it's all Elon because it's lame. Musk revealed a fleet of prototype robo-taxis, officially called Cybercab, on Thursday night to a crowd at Warner Brothers Discovery Film Studio in Burbank, California. He also introduced something that he called the Robovan. And I'm not sure if he just read his cue cards wrong, because everyone else is calling it the Robovan, but he kept calling it the Robovan. Was that him? Is that the ketamine kicking in? Musk revealed a fleet of prototype robo-taxis, officially called the Cybercab, on Thursday night to a crowd at Warner Brothers Discovery Film Studio in Burbank, California. Musk rode in on one of the prototypes before sharing a few details, including that Tesla had manufactured at least 20 Cybercabs and that the vehicles would be in production before 2027. Yeah, he said you could buy one. Why the fuck would I want to buy one? I guess he was talking to business owners. Alongside the robotaxi, Tesla has also showed off a 20-passenger Robovan and its Optimus humanoid robots. So if you haven't been keeping up with the criticisms of modern tech, you might have missed this. But people have been pointing out that a robot built for farming is not going to be humanoid. A robot built to make pizzas is not going to be humanoid. What people have been pointing out is that this idea that these humanoid-like robots are going to be replacing regular humans is totally ridiculous right now. One, the technology isn't there. Two, regular flesh and blood human beings are still cheaper. And three, of course, the wear and tear, the expense. These things are incredibly expensive. So the average McDonald's worker has contributed more to the world than Elon Musk. The guy, Elon Musk truly is the. Oh God, this is why you don't smoke weed, kids. It's the guy who stole everything from fucking Tesla. I can't believe I can't remember his name at the moment. Total brain fart. Anyway, he's a modern one of those. No, he's the guy. He's Edison. Yes, thank you, Thomas Edison. Thank you. Yeah, it's a British person knows more about U.S. history. But no, he really is a modern Thomas Edison, because when you look into the guy, History Channel used to have all kinds of Thomas Edison stuff, the real truth about Thomas Edison, and they'd always swing it back to Tesla and that drama, how Thomas Edison was a totally ruthless when it came to stealing other people's good ideas, and he was the expert at selling them. And you could also put Steve Jobs in this category, but not nearly as much. But he's kind of the same thing. Like he wasn't a brilliant programmer or engineer. He was a brilliant salesperson. He knew how to market something. Sure, yeah, Leon. Yeah, but you get what I'm saying, right? Where it's like it's this guy, everyone assumes that Thomas Edison is this great inventor. You scratch the surface a little bit, and not exactly. He's a great plunderer, a great exploiter. Not exactly a brilliant inventor. But you do make a good point. There's no doubt about it. Thomas Edison had a much better idea, had more of an engineer's brain, could understand these things, these concepts, and these ideas better than Elon Musk pretends to. When we've heard real engineers commenting on social media like, oh, well, I don't really know cars, so I just assumed he was really good at cars. I don't really know rocket ships, But then I heard him talk about a topic in my field, some kind of esoteric engineering field, and then I realized he's a complete charlatan. That he actually doesn't know what the hell he's talking about at all. And I didn't really realize it until he started talking about something that I knew, everything about. So yeah, the Robovan, that's what we're doing. We're doing it. Welcome to Elon's world. Why don't you just call it the fucking, the XXX Bang Bus, 69 LOL XD, Elon Musk? That'd be really funny. Making this thing, I mean, it's, if this was in a video game, right, I'd be like, yo, that's fat as fuck. That's pretty slick, right? I like the kind of the Art Deco. Anyway, back to the expert here. Enough of my bloviating. But Musk's attempt to drum up hype around his products fell flat with Kraftkick, as well as some Tesla investors. Tesla shares fell as much as 10% in early trading on Friday. Told my wife about this. Waymo and Tesla are battling to become the top authority in autonomous driving technology. Kraftkick stepped down from his Waymo role in 2021, but has remained in the EV industry. He now serves on Rivian's board of directors. So the guy knows what he's talking about. Okay, and let me tell you, Waymo is actually doing it. If you go to San Francisco, it's freaky, dog. You can download the app. A motherfucking robot taxi rolls up. It's all the shit that Elon Musk wants to do, but he wants to do it and make the vehicle look like a goddamn prototype out of a crappy sci-fi movie. No steering wheel, no pedals. Wow, magic. Yeah, but I don't want to put a big fucking proper radar and sensor on there, right? And I don't want to integrate those sensors. I want to make it for $30,000. It's the same mentality as the guy with the Titan sub. Remember the Titan sub that went down to the goddamn Titanic, blew up? Goddamn monument to, the stupid assholes' hubris. It's the same thing. And he's happy to put everyone else in danger, dude. You can die in a fucking ditch, burning up in a goddamn cyber cab. Elon doesn't give a shit. Kraftkick compared Musk to former President Donald Trump in an emailed statement to Business Insider. So listen to this. He's comparing him to Donald Trump. Quote, remember back in 2016 when Donald Trump said, I could stand in the middle of Fifth Avenue and shoot somebody and I wouldn't lose any voters. Okay. Kraftkick wrote, quote, the event last night was the automotive industry version of that, with the CEO of Tesla playing Donald Trump. Yikes. Yikes. Sell your Tesla. This company is going to fucking blah, blah. Something's gonna happen. Okay, the whole thing is artificial. Sell your shit. I'm telling you. There's no way you can waste this kind of money, dude, on this nonsense. It reeks of desperation. Because look, the Cybertruck was all Elon. Tesla was not all Elon, right? All those cool ideas, the cool designs. That was the guys that invented the company. right? That was all them. Elon came in, scooped it up, right? Cybertruck was all Elon. And the goddamn thing is a shocking embarrassment that we may still see completely removed off the road. It's been completely banned in Europe already. Geico refuses to insure it. The depreciation values are just unbelievable. Every single Cybertruck that's ever been sold has had to come back to the service for all kinds of in warranty repairs, multi-million-dollar, follow-up. So all that profit getting gobbled up. And he's trying to do the same thing, the same philosophy, the same kind of mentality with these goofy boondoggles with technology that is not fucking ready. Not like Waymo. Not like Waymo. Not even close. And we saw it. I showed you an example of this goddamn ugly ass cigar box rolling up. It did the Tesla thing where it's like like it's a robot vacuum. Okay, the Waymos don't do that. They drive like they're human beings. It's freaky as fuck, dude. You're driving along, you're like, oh shit, there's no one driving this thing, but it's stopping appropriately, it's accelerating appropriately, it's not doing that weird robot shit. Yeah, the robot vacuum is cute. It's not so cute when it's a 1-ton killing machine that could careen into you at any fucking moment. And it's like Elon Musk is happy to put you in danger to test his crappy software. And that, he said that during the thing. He's like, we have millions of Teslas out there and we're collecting all this data from them. So, of course, our technology is going to be better. We have all this. It's like, no, it's not good enough. Because your cars are only using sight. They're only using cameras. The Waymos use radar. They have all kinds of gizmos that tell them, that give them a 3D layout, right? So they can see stuff, but they can also confirm, okay, yeah, that thing is physically standing there. With a Tesla, the sun can get in the camera's eyes and it starts hallucinating, and then you're all of a sudden you're in the oncoming traffic lane. And Elon Musk wants you to be sitting in your car like this, completely ignoring your fucking steering wheel, having a conversation with your fucking ex buddies on your X space, talking about how great Donald Trump is, right? That's his fucking little fantasy. That's what he wants you to do with your life with his software. So there you go. Another last quote here. Serious robotaxi companies like Waymo use taller vehicle forms and have high-mounted sensors to improve accessibility, comfort, and safety. This vehicle form compromises all of these attributes. So he was actually pointing out earlier in this article, so another quote, if a company were serious about building a safe and accessible robotaxi business, it would look nothing like what was shown or said last night. He was just pointing out that, if you're an elderly person who often they use these services, you're going to have one hell of a time getting into this, thing that's shaped like a fucking Lamborghini, right? So the Waymos have been designed right in a way so that, old elderly people can get in. It's, mass audience. This thing's been designed to impress Elon Musk, and it shows. It shows. It's not ready for prime time. It's not going to be ready in 2026. Elon Musk is lying to everybody, and everybody fucking knows it. This fucking company is swirling the fucking bowl. Okay, and I think maybe it's going to be after the election, right? Because it's like this hype cloud, this Trump cult of personality, this everything. It's like everything is depending on Trump right now. Moving on to the next article here. Democrats close field office in must-win swing state after 3 shootings. So I'm a little mixed on this. Let me give you some more details. After being targeted by 3 different shootings over a 3-week period, Democrats have decided to close one of their field offices in a must-win swing state out of concern for the safety of staff and volunteers. According to USA Today, the Arizona Democratic Party is closing a field office in Tempe, Arizona, outside of Phoenix, for the remainder of the campaign cycle. The Arizona Republic's Mary Jo Peasel reported that staffers are now continuing their work at different undisclosed locations after the office was repeatedly hit by both BB gun pellets and firearm rounds. So it's all fun and games, right? It's all fun and games, but you know, some of these idiots are gonna be like, yeah, Leon, great point. Some of these idiots are gonna be like, I'm gonna be the hero. I'm gonna be the hero of the Republic. I'm gonna be the spark that lights the revolution if Trump loses, right? So we're not going to see civil war. These fucking fat, uneducated idiots, and of course the ones that are not, you know, fat and uneducated, you know, middle class, and of course the rich elite, they're cowards. They're not dying for this man. They're cowards. So yeah, if you're not a member of Meal Team 6 in the middle of some fucking swamp somewhere, you know, you got your shit together, you're a little multimillionaire, you know, running a little small business or something. You know, oh, I went to January 6th. I'm ready. I'm ready for the Civil War. You're not fucking ready for the Civil War. Because you know why? Lefties shoot back, bitch. Straight up. Straight up. You think it's going to happen overnight? You think you're going to flip a switch and show us your gun and we're all just go, oh, I'm going to go back to my pink My Little Pony dungeon and dye my hair blue because I'm so scared of your Glock. No, it doesn't work that way. We're all Americans here. Left and right. There's plenty of lefties in plenty of right areas that understand this calculation and own weapons and own guns and are ready to defend themselves and possibly defend their liberty and possibly defend their democracy. So, you know, I say this quite often. I'll say it again. Do it. Get it out of your system. Civil War 2.0, right? Take over something. Establish something that, you know, can't be ignored. Do something. Just get it out of your system and see just how badly it goes for you, right? And I think that they just might need to get it out of their system. You know what I mean? They keep fantasizing it's going to go so well for them. But so where I'm a little on the fence on this though is it's like, do we really want them to win? Like, I understand, you know, you don't want to put your staff in danger. You know, no one was killed or injured in the shooting as they took place late at night. Yeah, so just drunken idiots driving by, they see the Harris poster, bang, 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 right? It's not an assassination attempt, right? It's stupidity. If you've been there, if you know, I was raised in a trailer park in the woods. Okay, I know the mentality. When I was driving around Michigan, I kept thinking to myself, God, I really want to get a paintball gun and shoot up these Trump signs. I really wanted to do that. I really did. But it's like, it's so illegal, it's so bad, but it's just like there's something in me that wants to fight so vociferously against this fascism. But from their side, it's the same thing, right? They're convinced that Kamala Harris is the fucking coming of the Antichrist. She's gonna it's the goddamn apocalypse. It's the end of free society. We're all gonna be converted into being gay. It's just crazy. Right. I mean, the Republicans are pulling out all the stops. They're saying all the things. Everything. They're saying everything they can possibly come up with. So I get it. That's what I'm trying to say is that I get it. It really is a game changer election. What they don't realize is, you know, they're desperately begging for a chains around their wrist and around their neck. You know, they're on their hands and knees and begging to be enslaved. The right wing. Oh, it's shocking. So I don't know. I hate that it worked. You know what I mean? I hate that the intimidation worked and that they have to move the office and now these people are working out of undisclosed locations. I would like to see, look, I get it. You don't want to put people's lives at risk, but look, what I would say is like, no, you know, we're going to keep the office open, but if you don't want to work in the office, you can work somewhere else. But we're keeping the office open. We're not going to let this win. We're not going to be intimidated. But if you don't want to be here, you don't want to risk your life for this, I get it as well. But at the same time, I can't abide by this. Welcome back, Woke Patriot and strategy member Leon, Chem Goblin, everyone. Thank you for coming back, all you lurkers. Big props to you. Thank you for coming back. Anyway, so those are my thoughts on that. It's not a good sign. It's not a good sign. Like I said, it's not going to be Civil War 2.0. Don't believe the hype. Man, I hate it. What the fuck? What the fuck am I even looking at, man? This is 32% off. What is 32% off? This? Anyway, I don't think there's going to be a civil war. But I do think there is going to be violence if Donald Trump loses. I do think people are going to die. There's too many divorced, separated from their family. You know, they've put everything into Trump. Everything. They got the Trump truck. They got the Trump boat. They got the flags. They got the stickers. They got the buttons. They got the 600 T-shirts. They got the hats. There's too many of those guys. It is a cult. It is a cult. And there is going to be violence if he loses. There is going to be violence. Yeah. Moving on to Supreme Court here. Wanted to just, you know, look, this is as close as we can get. These guys will never tell us the truth, okay? We will never have, you know, the interview, you know, the bright light in their face, you know, tell us the truth, John Roberts. You lied to America. You're a fundamentalist. You're an activist. Admit it. We're never going to get that with these pieces of shit that lied to the world, right? This guy stone cold said he wasn't going to change Roe v. Wade. Stone cold said it, dog. They all did. All the right-winger activists that are Supreme Court judges. They all did. But listen to this. This just gives you an idea of just how completely on planet Pluto these guys are. Completely delusional. They're not here, honey. They're so completely insulated, okay? Completely. Sealed. Sealed in a fucking steel capsule. Okay, impenetrable. Shaken, he says, shaken. Analyst claims John Roberts has been left reeling from immunity ruling backlash. You got to listen to this. I'm going to read the whole thing. You got to hear this. I'll turn the music down, okay? This is unbelievable. Okay, this is how on planet Pluto these guys actually are. Okay, here we go. Get out of the way here. Supreme Court Justice John Roberts has been left shaken by the unexpected public reaction to his ruling in the Donald Trump presidential immunity case, a columnist wrote Friday. Remember, I performed the funeral for America after this ruling, right? It wasn't exactly the positive reaction I guess he was expecting. It is literally the end of America. Anyway. Slate's judicial writer Dahlia Lithwick wrote that Roberts was left shocked that Americans didn't buy his attempt to persuade them that his ruling was not about Trump, but instead focused on the office of the presidency. The court ruled that a president was largely immune from criminal prosecution for official actions, aka full-blown dictator. Right don't play fair? Oh, he updated his thing. It's a little hippo taking the bite out of a cute leg. Adorkable. Lithwick, referenced by a report by CNN's John Biskupik, he quote-unquote, listen to this. This is as close as we're going to get, folks, okay? He quote-unquote was shaken by the adverse public reaction to his decision, affording Donald Trump substantial immunity from criminal prosecution, she wrote. Quote unquote, his protestations that the case conserved the presidency, not Trump, held little currency. So he was like, well, I really thought the American people were going to understand that the Supreme Court believes that the office of the president is immune to all criminal. This has nothing to do with the numerous court cases that Trump is facing right before the election. This has nothing to do with that. Why would you think that? Lithwick also mentioned New York Times reporters Jody Cantor and Adam Liptak's claim that Roberts had hoped his pro-Trump ruling would be written with such poetry. Listen to this. He thought he would write this so eloquently, so perfectly, that America would be convinced that the Supreme Court is a respectable body, that, you know, that this, of course, is not about one man. This is not about one party. This is about America. And America believes that their president should be completely and totally immune to all criminal prosecutions as long as it's declared as an official act. That's what Americans believe. The dozens of court cases against Trump, oh, no. I mean, this could have been just as much about Hunter Biden. By the way, Hunter Biden getting the book thrown at him. It's hilarious. The Democrats are like overcompensating on Hunter Biden. He's getting the fucking book thrown at him, dude. It's great. He deserves it. But it is funny because, you know, historically people don't get in as much trouble as he's been getting for the shit that he got up to. Anyway, wait. So listen to this. Lithwick also mentioned New York Times reporters Jody Cantor and Adam Liptak's claim. So the two people, all right, corroborated here, claimed that Roberts had hoped his pro-Trump ruling would be written with such poetry that it would lower the bubbling anger from the anti-Trump public, still furious over the elimination of Roe v. Wade. He thought this was going to get him out of trouble for Roe v. Wade, dog. It just... What? You kill women's personal liberties, and then you destroy the very concept of a citizen president. What? What the hell? Why do people hate me? People are all the harsh browns, dog. What the hell? Roberts seemed, listen to this, quote, seemed confident that his arguments would soar above politics, persuade the public, and stand the test of time. The Times reported. But that failed so remarkably that, quote unquote, unlike most of the justices, he made no public speeches over the summer. He's been sulking in his cave. Oh, these plebs don't deserve me. I gave them the rulings they need. I wrote it with such poetry, and they reject my offers. You don't deserve the Justice Roberts. Colleagues and friends who saw him said he looked especially weary, as if carrying greater weight on his shoulders. Oh, woe is me! I helped destroy America, and people hate me. Oh, please. Mercy! Mercy on one of your greatest creations. Mercy! Lithwick pointed to legal reporter Linda Greenhouse, who asked on Slate's podcast how Roberts could, quote, have been so clueless about where this opinion was going to leave a court that has already been really battered in public opinion ever since the run-up to Dobbs. What this says to me is that he and other members of his majority live in a kind of bubble. Yeah, no shit. So just to give you an idea of what we're dealing with, and you know, I have to talk about this. I'm sorry everything ropes back to the weakness of neoliberals, but this is the court that Joe Biden is protecting, right? This is the court, you know, the neoliberals wouldn't even fathom, off the table, talking about adding more seats to the Supreme Court. Never, never. Why? And we would look like partisan monsters if we did that. So this is the court. These are the people, right, that we're protecting, the neoliberals, the so-called left, the status quo that they refuse to break. There are options on the table that they refuse to move on, okay? And these are the fucking clowns, clown towns, okay? That's as close as you're going to get. Eyewitness, you know, 2 people corroborated, right? Reporters, respectable reporters. This is as close as you're going to get. Close friends and family giving you the vibes. That's as close as you're going to get to these Dunning-Krugers that sit in these fucking benches. All right? They're completely clueless, delusional pieces of shit, and Joe Biden protects them. Moving on. So this is the last bit of a hurricane update, and I figured it was important for me to talk about this because I've been mentioning it several times, and I obviously am a complete idiot. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. So TLDR News over here, you know, getting the real facts, getting the real numbers here, just how bad the insurance situation is in Florida, how, you know, Ron DeSantis is not doing enough, and there's nothing on my radar indicating that he's going to do something, because what needs to be done is that this, you know, taxes need to go up, preferably on the rich, but of course Ron DeSantis would never fathom such a thing, right? So in his calculation, he's like, well, I simply can't raise taxes on the rich, so if I'm gonna make this situation whole, I have to raise taxes on the middle class and the lower class. But it's a big L, it's a big loser, right? Because this guy's cutting taxes, cutting the red tape. But no, you need to make a whole public insurance company. Okay, because they've already tried a public-private. You're going to see in this video, they've already tried a public-private solution with this company called Citizens or something like that. It's the insurance company of last resort that I talked about in a couple streams ago, maybe yesterday. Have I read about the memos that were released where Robert stepped in and led? Yeah, no, I mean he's a rock's fist. That's just as close as we're gonna get. The man is a fucking Dunning-Kruger. Okay, he's a whiny little bitch boy who is happy to lie, and he doesn't even know what the hell's going on. He doesn't even know that he's a you know, destroying it. He's a what? Oh my God! I thought people were gonna like me. Oh, it's pathetic. It's pathetic. And Joe Biden is like, no, the sanctity of this court. Right. We won't even discuss it. How dare you even discuss adding more seats? Oh, the loops that we would have to jump through. Oh, the things. Meanwhile, if the shoe were on the other foot, Trump would be like, how many is it? Would it be possible to add just 1 or possibly 2? You know, I don't want to add 3. Obviously, I don't want to make this fair. I want to make sure this is, you know, lopsided for us. I want to add more seats, but could we just add more Republicans to it? Like, is there any way we could do this in an unfair way? He'd be discussing that day one, and Mitch McConnell would be happy to come out and make a bunch of excuses. Anyway, back to Ron DeSantis, back to the hurricane, back to the insurance situation. It's completely out of fucking control. And here's some people that actually know what they're talking about to explain it a little bit better. TLDR News here. Like and subscribe, folks. Here's the link, by the way. Make sure you're liking and subscribing to the TLDR. They do great work. International news. They do what is essential, which is, you know, they make this information digestible for dummies like me. Okay, so it's really important, right? Because this is really academic stuff, and we need guys like this who can help us better understand it. Do they have their own biases? Do they have their own blind spots? 100%, of course they do. But I do honestly believe that they try to present information in as an unbiased amount as possible. The Palestine-Gaza situation has been, you know, the data that they present on that is not, you know, they don't try to present the pro-Israeli side. You know, on that, they're happy to use the internationally recognized numbers. You know, they're not intimidated by the Zionists that I'm sure are telling them that they're anti-Semitic because they don't believe that every single human being that Israel has killed is a terrorist, right? Which is what Israel wants us to believe. Anyway, I think they do a pretty good job. Let's get to it. Robert Scott immunity decision and the culmination. No, exactly. Woke patriot. Exactly. 100%. Yeah, 100%. When I held that funeral, and you can check it out in the clip section, folks, of the Twitch channel, if you want to watch the funeral. When I held that funeral, it's 100% locked in stone, legal right now. For if Joe Biden wanted to, he could write an official order that says the election. We're not going to do an election. Cancel the election. I'm now, and he could executive order. He puts that down, and that shit will be defended by the Supreme Court, according to them. Of course, it wouldn't be. They've already made the ruling, so that there wouldn't be a challenge. It's said and done, right? So no, it wouldn't even go to the Supreme Court to be challenged. It would just be the edict. The president can fucking just write shit down on a piece of paper. This is an official order. I get to do whatever the fuck I want. He gets to Ron Swanson the entire fucking nation, dude. No joke. I'm not even close to lying. And Roberts is like, I thought people were going to like that after I took away women's liberty. This is what we're dealing with. This is why we need to cut the shit, and we need to attack this politically, right? With fervor and confidence in what we're doing, because don't let the gaslighters get to you. It's not complicated. This is wrong. This is anti-democratic. Being anti-democratic is bad, right? Because that's another thing the right-wingers will do. Well, what do you mean? Well, we don't even technically live in a democracy. What's so great about democracy, right? They're questioning the value of democracy, right? That's how much they're spinning you, okay? Ignore that shit. Push that shit out of the way. Know with 100% certainty that democracy is worth dying for, that your liberty is one of the most important things that you have ever had in your existence. And understand that you are morally correct when you demand better from these corporate institutions, neoliberal or fascistic institutions from the right. The only thing you should be demanding from the right is their acquiescence, is them to be bending the knee, because that's all that you're going to get. You're never going to compromise with the fascistic right, Joe Biden, you ice cream licking fool. Video.
Brought to you by Nebula. On Wednesday evening, Hurricane Milton, a Category 3 storm with winds of 120 miles per hour, landed on Florida's west coast. At time of writing, several deaths have already been reported. Nearly 3 million homes and businesses have lost power, and billions of dollars in damages will likely be incurred. Now, in some sense, things were a lot better than they could have been. Only a couple of days ago, Milton was a Category 5 storm with winds of over 180 miles per hour, on track to be perhaps the most devastating storm in modern American history. But even if it's not the worst ever, Milton has still been catastrophic and could be the last straw for Florida's ever-escalating home insurance crisis, which could in turn bring down entire property markets. So in this video, we're going to take a look at how climate change created an insurance crisis in the Sunshine State, how both the Florida and federal government have essentially subsidized the entire market, and why this model just isn't sustainable.
Circle K.
Before we start, if you haven't already, please consider
I'm
subscribing.
gonna skip this shit, but no, seriously, you should be checking out TLDR. Put them on your subscribe list. It's totally worth it. Okay, like I said, if you're not down with the editing style, whatever, get over it. It's actually really well packaged information. These guys do good work.
New videos. So let's start by taking a look at how climate change has increased the frequency of extreme weather events. In the past few years, the number of extreme weather events causing more than $1 billion worth of damage have significantly increased. In 2014, for instance, there were 11 such events, but by 2023, there were 37.
Wow.
Much of this increase has been driven by an increase in the US.
And the insurance companies know this.
This trend has continued into 2024 too. Milton is the 5th hurricane in the US this year, and the second direct hit on Florida in just 2 weeks, after Hurricane Helene in late September. Now, there is some disagreement over whether or not climate change has made hurricanes more frequent, or rather just changed where they tend to happen.
So, what I say is that climate change is a catalyst on all existing weather patterns. That's the closest that I've been able to understand it. Now, please, if you're a climate scientist and you disagree, please go ahead and do that. and I would probably accept those criticisms, but that's as close as that my stupid brain has been able to get to, where it's like, it's not creating a hurricane, but it's like if they're, before climate change, the hurricane would have been category 2, category 3, but because of climate change, that hurricane that would have happened normally is now a category 4 or category 5, et cetera, et cetera. So that's my understanding. It's shocking to me that we still have to talk about this, though. 2 hurricanes and a tornado storm, all within the span of 10 days. And we're still having a conversation about, is it or isn't it real? Isn't or isn't it man-made? How about we get out of the way of the people that know what the fuck they're talking about? You know what I mean? How about we get the fuck out of their way and give them the resources they need to fix this problem? Get serious about this. Oh, appeal to authority, appeal to authority. My taxpayer dollars aren't going to go to that. Yeah, look, I get it. There's always those people that demand everything be as shitty as their little trailer park life. But what happened to ignoring those people and, driving forward regardless of what haters and, ignorant people, anti-intellectual folks, they get a vote. Everyone gets a vote. How come we're not outvoting them? Why is this even still part of the conversation, right?
But there's a widespread consensus that it has made them stronger. This is because a warmer world means both warmer air and warmer seas.
Yeah, well, Patriot, yeah.
Warmer air absorbs more water vapor, which means heavier rains with hurricanes.
So here's all the shit that they ignore, right? Here's all the shit. It's actually not Joe Biden, Marjorie Taylor Greene hitting the fucking hard weather button.
Air absorbs more water vapor, which means heavier rains with hurricanes, while warmer seas mean more energy available to drive the hurricanes. A warmer world also has less ice and thus higher sea levels, which exacerbates the storm surges. Unsurprisingly, the increasing severity and frequency of extreme weather events in places like Florida has massively increased the cost of house insurance. Even before this year, Florida already had some of the highest home insurance costs in the US, with the average annual insurance premium coming in at nearly $7,000. And Insurify, an insurance company, reckons that it could rise to $12,000 in the next few months. Rising prices and a lack of coverage explains why an astonishing 20% of Floridians now don't have insurance.
That's huge.
Way above the national average of 7%. Now, despite charging these exorbitant rates, extreme weather events and the accompanying claims have actually bankrupted a number of private insurers. And those that have stayed often try to cheat their way out of big hurricane-related payouts.
It's billions of
Lots
dollars.
of big insurers have just withdrawn from parts of the Florida market entirely, on the grounds that it's too difficult to account for hurricane risk. Worryingly, they've been replaced by a handful of smaller insurers who, according to this study from December 2023, are just trying to cash in on these enormous premiums and don't actually have the cash on hand to pay out if another hurricane hits. And we've just seen 2 in the last 2 weeks. Anyway, in response to this, Florida's government created a government-backed insurer of last resort called the Citizens Property Insurance Corporation for people who couldn't get any other insurance.
Ancestors
This
built
is
this
largely
country.
because, as it doesn't have any income tax, Florida relies on property taxes for its revenues. And if there wasn't insurance in
little
place,
on the nose.
property prices in the state would just crash. Because increases are capped and subject to approval by
So
state.
I didn't mention that because I'm a dummy, but this is actually a huge thing. I didn't think of this, but it makes perfect sense. If properties can't be insured, the price of those properties is going to crash, which might be a good thing for poor Floridians.
For its revenues. And if there wasn't insurance in place, property prices in the state would just crash. Because increases are capped and subject to approval by state legislatures, and politicians don't generally like approving them, citizens' policies are generally about 35% lower than the market rate. In practice, this means that other Florida taxpayers are subsidizing those people living in dangerous areas. But even still, Citizens has nowhere near enough cash. The company only has about $6 billion on hand, compared to insured assets of about $400 billion,
That's a time bomb.
$150 billion of which were at risk from Milton.
That's a time bomb.
This number has grown rapidly over time as private insurers have continued to pull out of the market, from about 400,000 policies in 2020 to nearly 1.5 million in late 2023, representing about 20% of the entire Florida property market. In part because Citizens is currently under investigation by the US Senate for not having enough money on hand, they've tried to push some of these houses back onto the private market, and with some success. The number of policies has now fallen to a little over 1 million, and a few weeks ago, they announced plans to push another 600,000 to private insurers in the coming months. However, these policies are often migrating to those small, undercapitalized insurers we mentioned earlier, which isn't really a good thing either. As well as being subsidized by other Florida taxpayers, these homeowners are also effectively subsidized by the federal government via the Federal Emergency Management Agency, or FEMA, which offers flood insurance to about 5 million homeowners in hazardous areas. However, FEMA has come under constant political pressure to keep rates low, despite the increased flooding risk, and has consequently made a loss of about $20 billion. FEMA tried to raise rates in 2021, but it's since been sued by at least 10 mostly Republican state legislatures, and roughly 500,000 people have cancelled their policies in protest, presumably hoping that they'll get bailed out anyway. The federal government is also accidentally subsidizing even those homeowners in dangerous parts of Florida who have private.
Could you imagine? They're gambling. They're totally gambling. They're like, well, there's a good chance that FEMA is just going to bail me out, so why pay for this outrageous insurance?
Because banks sell a disproportionate number of their mortgages in these high-risk areas, often insured by dodgy smaller insurers, to federal agencies, who are on the hook if these insurers can't pay out, and homeowners therefore have to default. Anyway, you get the idea. Climate change has made parts of Florida uninsurable. But to avoid the political fallout of a property crash and to keep Florida's tax base intact, the market has been effectively propped up by a combination of the federal government, Florida state government, and a whole load of undercapitalized, immature private insurers. Storm Milton, which will probably cause tens of billions of dollars in insured damages, will force American politicians to make a decision. Either they try to continue propping up the market, hoping that federal and Florida taxpayers don't mind or notice that they're paying for people to retire to dangerous areas at a cost that could become exorbitant if those small insurers go bankrupt and will only grow over time, or they somehow let the cost of insurance reflect the actual risk of living there, triggering a collapse in property prices and possibly even depopulation in some of Florida's most popular areas. All in all, there's no easy option here. Given that it's an election year, the federal government will probably be happy to foot the bill, but this only defers the inevitable pain and ties into a wider question about how to eventually deal with the national debt.
Yeah, so it's a ticking
We
time
appreciate
bomb.
that some of this was pretty technical stuff, but hopefully you now know why Hurricane Milton could be even more catastrophic.
Okay, he's getting into his advertisement, so make sure you support him there. You know, they got, I don't know. What the hell
Might
is
sound.
this?
Explain the politics behind.
Whatever. Thank you so much, TLDR, for that. But the basic gist, it's a ticking time bomb. Ron DeSantis is not going to fix it. He's going to try to kick the can down the road. The reason why he doesn't want to fix it is that he's beholden to profit. If there's no profit to be made, then he's not interested. Okay, he's happy to let poor people get ripped off. He's happy to let poor people get fucked. Don't believe his rhetoric about the citizens of Florida. He doesn't give a shit. So he's not going to do what is actually required to fix this problem. And it's going to hopefully hopefully it would be in Ron DeSantis's eyes. Hopefully it would be timed with him like losing an election. Then he can hand this massive disaster right over to, a Democratic administration who, he can then point the finger at and say it's all their fault. Maybe. We'll see. He like a lot of right wingers in their little fiefdoms, he has Florida pretty locked down, even now. I don't think there's any real challengers to Ron DeSantis' throne. Please correct me if I'm wrong, though. Someone posted this in the Discord. Who posted this in the Discord? Give yourself credit, please. Smash! Welcome back. It's good to see you. Yeah, this was hilarious. Alex Lieberman posting here, who's also paying for Twitter, which you need to stop doing. Stop doing immediately. Stop paying for Twitter. Hashtag stop the madness. But he posts quite possibly the most unhinged LinkedIn update I've ever seen. Former co-CEO of FTX, which is the cryptocurrency exchange that completely collapsed. You know, Aaron, what's his nuts, and Gollum from Lord of the Rings are now in jail because of it. Former co-CEO of FTX heads to federal prison today to serve 7.5 years, but not before he drops this banger on social. So he puts this on his LinkedIn. I'm happy to share that I'm starting a new position as inmate at FCI Cumberland. Hey, congratulations. I took the position. You know what? I'll allow it. I'll allow it. You just have to give him props for the cheekiness on this one. Funny stuff. That's all I had to say on that one. Okay. I got to be really careful with this one. I got to be super duper careful. Okay. Greetings from south of Boston. It's your boy, Lenny. AccidentsWaitingToHappen.com, and make sure you're liking and subscribing to Lenny's Twitch account. He is absolutely doing the live streams on Monday and Tuesday. Get your morning right. Monday and Tuesdays. Lenny. Okay, I got to be really careful with this. Let me just read the headline from the New York Post here. Top German neo-Nazi plummets 200 feet to his death while hiking on Hitler's favorite mountain. Okay. I have to be really careful about this. I'm just going to say one thing. Good. Go ahead and extrapolate everything else that you wanted to see from that. I just have that one thing to say. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome back, Tisreal. Coachella is officially dead. Coachella's dead. If you don't know that, I've never been to this, young person spend a lot of money music fest filled with a bunch of artists that I would want to gouge my ears out if I was listening to. Oh no. Anyway, time to duck. You know how Twitch is with its rules. Just say one thing. That's all I got to say. Moving on. Yeah, Tisreal, probably. But no, Coachella is actually dead now. Trump is coming to Coachella. It's dead. He's coming to Coachella to kill Coachella. He's gonna choke the essence of Coachella right there on stage. This makes absolutely no sense from a campaign standpoint. So Ron is correct, but he also pays for Twitter, so not cool. Not cool, Ron. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe the little cloudy thing means that the verification was given to him instead of paying for it. I don't know. I don't know how shitty Elon Musk has made this website anymore, but I do know that blue check is an embarrassment to humanity. Anyway, the point that he's making, Trump is doing what to Coachella? He's killing it. He's going to murder it. He's going there to kill it. Live. But no, he's saying this makes absolutely no sense from a campaign standpoint. Roblox. Why does this not make sense? Because majority of people going to Coachella, maybe they are over 18.
You better hope they are, baby. I'm going to go to Coachella. Yeah, what's up? What's up, girl? How you doing? You over 18? You want to vote? Yeah, come vote for me, baby. Yeah.
I don't know why I do this. I don't know why I do that. I'm just taken over by demons. I don't know what happens. I just black out. But no, so a lot of the young people going there are over 18. Do over 18 people vote? No, they don't. Not unless it's a black guy named Obama. and the polls are showing that they're more enthused for Kamala than normal. but not as enthused for Kamala as they were for the cool black guy. The strong black woman that kind of reminds you of your mom, you know, not as popular as the cool black guy that, you know, where you want to pretend. Oh, thank you, dear. Thank you, baby. Ooh, I got some juice and I got a Snackums. Thank you. I got a trail mix. Delicious. You know, with Obama, everyone wanted to pretend he was MLK. And it was like, cool, we get to have our MLK moment. Right. The Diddy spirit is strong with this one. How many Diddy parties did Trump go to? We know there's pictures of him and Trump. You know, the Diddy white parties are you know, huge. You know, if you were a socialite that meant anything, you went to a couple Diddy white parties. How many did Trump go to? Moving on. I'm not going to read this article. I just wanted to read you the headline and make a couple comments here. From TechCrunch here, Silicon Valley is debating if AI weapons should be allowed to decide to kill. Cool, Mrs. Nihilism, Mrs. Anti-Nihilism. I went for a long motorcycle ride today. Here are the 50-50. There are 50-50 Trump-Harris lawn signs. Excellent, Lenny. And let's not forget, there's a lot of women in those Trump households. You know, it's more than just one vote. And I'm very confident that there are a lot of women who are married to conservative men who, you know, they don't want to have the Trump conversation, but they're going to quietly vote to keep their body autonomy. Because, you know, it's kind of important to people to have the right to do whatever they want to their bodies. It's kind of important to people, even to women. Yes, of course, Smash, no problem. Even Trump's wife is against his policies. True, yeah. I didn't report on this, but, you know, Kem Goblin is correct. I won't even bother looking it up. You can look it up if you want. Melania has officially come out against the conservative party's anti-abortion stance. She's come out as pro-abortion. Melania Trump. Anyway, like I said, I'm just going to read the headline here and move on. But, hey, geniuses, Pandora's box is open. It's already being used to decide to kill in Israel, possibly in Ukraine. Cat's way out of the bag. You guys are happy. Google is happy to work with the, military-industrial complex. Except Microsoft, of course, totally embedded with the fucking military, by the way. Special versions of Microsoft operating systems just for the military. All kinds of military systems running on Microsoft software, et cetera, et cetera. OpenAI. It's the cat's out of the bag. I don't know what OpenAI is doing for the military, but it's not the only machine learning algorithm. So have your goofy debate, you goofy fucking libertarians. How about you come back to the real world, start re-embracing democracy, start re-embracing liberty, instead of your stupid techno futurism. One thing, the biggest positive about AI is what it's going to do to the medical field, and it might have direct ramifications in my life for my son who is blind. So it's an important step. It's an amazing thing. But Silicon Valley, who's even Silicon Valley, right? I need to read the article, right? I'm not going to. But cat's out of the bag. Have your fucking debates, but really you should be talking about how do we create limits? How do we create AIs that stay within their boundaries? Thinking, reading, I don't do that shit. Not on the News Underground. Fuck that. No, I'm just not too interested, because it's already too late, man. So this is kind of a waste of time. But if you want to read it, if you find this important, here's the article right here. Feel free. Welcome back, Simply Steve. Florida has been fucked for a while now. Oh, whoops. I should probably go back to that. Whoops. Thank you. Moving on to the next story. Retired General Mark Milley calls Trump a total fascist. Okay? And everybody knows Mark Milley is a bleeding heart liberal who, you know, who's never not wanted to, you know, hop into a pride parade, straight to the transsexual bathroom and, you know, get sucked off in a glory hole. You know, that's Mark Milley 100%. Tiny baby kept in sandwich bag? What? What? Hold on. Hold on. Wait, hold on. What? Tiny baby kept in... Finally goes home. Yay! Tiny baby kept in sandwich bag finally goes home. Oh, no. The parents of a baby who was born weighing just 11 ounces and kept in a sandwich bag to keep her safe is finally... Oh, it was a premature birth, and she was kept in a sandwich bag. Well, it's like a dream come true to have Robin home. Well, that's beautiful stuff. Good for them and good for Robin. You know, and medical science is amazing. Hopefully she grows up to be, you know, a perfectly normal, healthy young girl. Baby kept in sandwich bag. But no, so, you know, everyone's favorite hardcore communist level liberal, Mark Milley, calling Trump a total fascist. So, you know, maybe don't take it from me. You know, everything. I mean, I can't drive down the road without calling every single driver that pisses me off a fascist. Every store, every restaurant I go in, I call every single person there a fascist, right? If they disagree with me, if they don't do what I want. Literally everything I don't like is fascism to me. That's because I'm left. I'm a liberal, you know, limousine liberal. I'm better than everybody, and everything that I see is fascism, right? So don't take it from me. Take it from Mark Milley, who, if you couldn't guess, is about as right wing as it gets. Okay. All right. Calling Trump a total fascist. He worked closely with Trump in his administration. He was one of the guys that was like, you know, Trump would say, hey, look into this crazy thing. Can we nuke this? Can we nuke that? What if we just nuke North Korea? Can we just solve that overnight? Can we just do that? So he'd be like, oh yeah, sir, no problem. I'm going to look into that. No problem. And then he just wouldn't bring it up again. And Trump would be, you know, can you believe Condoleezza Rice said this about me? I can't believe it. It's a stupid bitch. You know, he's on some other fucking rant. Right. Which is unprecedented, okay? Because normally it's, you know, the president is competent, and when he asks his subordinates to do something, he expects them to deliver, and he'll follow up with them. And, you know, Mark Milley would be, you know, in big fucking doo-doo if he did that with a normal president. Hey, didn't I ask you to look into, you know, something? And, oh, yeah, no, I totally ignored you and just didn't do it because you're a fucking maniac and I just ignore you. Oh, okay, you're totally fired. But no, Mark Milley was able to do that because Trump was a complete fascist, a total fascist, according to him. This is interesting. This should not disarm you, but I just wanted to give you a little hope, okay? Sometimes we do hope on this show. I know you're here to be depressed. I know. You're here to be sad. You're here to all the bad news. I know. That's what you're here for. I get you. Don't worry. We'll get right back to your clinical depression in a second. Cheney's endorsement feels like a counterweight. It's a damning with faint praise, right? It's damning with faint praise. But that's the neoliberals. It's never going to change. They need to be like they are. Ideally, they become the new conservative party. You know, ideally, the fascistic MAGA GOP becomes like the Whigs. Sure, they still exist, but they just shrink and shrink and shrink. It's the neoliberals that become the new conservative standard. And what we need is, of course, a real left. We've talked about it many times. So anyway, we're going to do a little hope here. Headline from this website, I don't know, NJ.com, True Jersey. I don't know who this person is. Kevin Manahan. I don't know. Interesting points made in this article, though. Listen up. Harris versus Trump, analyst tells panicky Dems GOP is creating fake polls. Desperate, unhinged Trumpian. So don't forget, everyone needs to vote. This is not you. This is not your, your signal to give up. Okay, none of that. But these are interesting points. Listen up. A poll seems to indicate that former President Donald Trump has momentum in some swing states with 24 days remaining until the November 5th presidential election. I might have covered some of this. I've definitely referenced and talked about this, but of course, I'm not obsessed with every single day covering the polls, so I might have not shown any of these polls, but I've mentioned that these things, it's basically right back to 50-50. It's like, within the margin of error, 4-point margin of error roughly. So this Kevin over here is telling us don't buy it. About a month ago, Rosenberg predicted that a slew of polls by Republican organizations would flood the zone, showing Trump leading, and like clockwork, it has happened. And do we think that they're above this, that they wouldn't do this kind of stuff? Of course they would. Trying to do some news here. Fucking big O video. Hair's looking great, though. I mean, that is the Pantene Pro V, Oh, weather. Okay. The purpose is twofold, Rosenberg said, to excite Trump's base and discourage Vice President Kamala Harris's supporters, right? So it the propaganda, even though it does have the potential to disarm some Trump voters, it also excites Trump voters, gets some Trump voters more motivated to vote, some others maybe not so much, but then it also is supposed to discourage lefties, Democrats, right? While also providing Trump with the ammunition to say his election was rigged if he loses. So yada, 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 yada. You can read the rest if you want. Just a little bit of hope. Pac-Man took the bait. What, with that interview with that right-winger? That went really well. That broccoli-haired Zoomer right-winger? I showed an excerpt from that interview yesterday. Pac-Man completely kicked his ass. Is that what you're talking about? Huh? No, he was repeating these polls. I see. Well, I mean, a lot of the lefty commentators are just trying to make sure that everyone is not resting on their laurels. But yeah, that doesn't mean he's a dipshit. It doesn't necessarily mean he's a dipshit buying into it, but just a little bit of hope. It's just a little bit of hope that it's, maybe some of these numbers that we're seeing are fake news, that Kamala, that there's a good chance that Kamala is going to win. I feel like Kamala is going to win. I feel like it's not going to be a blowout. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. It should be a blowout. Okay, there's no more excuses, right? We got rid of Joe Biden. We have a mega diverse female candidate. But what is she doing? She's doing the Clintonian Obama, Democrat strategy of no big promises, no big ideas, basically just setting expectations. She's sprinkling a little sugar on the poison pill. Right. She there's definitely some policy proposals. She put up her manifesto, if you want to call it that, whatever they call it now, their policy plan, whatever. Is she going to achieve it? I mean, if you look at Joe Biden, if you look at Obama, no. If you look at the promises that they made, they did not keep 1/3 of the promises that they made. But even with all that being true, 100% objectively better than overt fucking fascism, right?
China?
Right? Welcome to hell. Anyway, moving on. David Pakman, call me, baby. More than a third of Nikki Haley voters plan to back Harris in November, polling suggests. One of the honest conservatives in our chat, the only one that seems to exist, Davey, is a Nikki Haley fan who plans on voting for Kamala Harris. Once again, yeah, I'm not going to read this, whatever. You know, like I said, I don't like to get into this fucking wonky ass, follow the numbers, you know, like Kornacki on MSNBC. Well, if the numbers look like, if they do this, if she does really well in Pennsylvania, she's going to do well. If she doesn't do well here, then she's going to lose. And it's like, oh my God. Okay. All right, somebody's into this. Obviously, somebody's watching this. I can't believe that they're getting anything useful from it. But here's the article. So it's wonky, New York Sun here. But once again, little dribble of hope that because I believe personally, like I said before, you know, for every Trump supporter, you know, fervent male Trump support, loud, you know, Trump truck, there's a quiet woman who maybe hasn't left yet. Maybe not every, because a lot of these guys are divorced. So hold on, not every one of them, but there's enough, right? They are procreating. They do get married, and there are a lot of women that have just kind of given up. Kornacki must be on uppers. He has way too much energy. Oh well, he's like the John Madden of fucking politics, man. Well, if they get 270, then they win. Oh wow, Steve. Wow, amazing. Steve Kornacki, right? That's his name, Steve. Anyway, little dribble of hope. Go figure. There are conservative women that don't really like the idea of their husband having partial ownership over their own body. Legally. You know, it's actually, because, you know why? Because it's anti-conservative. It's anti-liberty. You know? Maybe a lot of conservative folks don't really philosophically understand where they actually, you know, what they actually believe in and whatnot, but they can understand this. Oh, wait a minute. You mean, you know, if I get impregnated by somebody, they get to have an opinion about what I do with the baby. And not only that, but if I do get impregnated, my name has to go on a registry. And if I cross state lines, I'm going to be interrogated by the police. And if I get an abortion, I'm going to be arrested for murder, et cetera, et cetera. The state is going to force me to have a stillborn baby. If the baby turns out to be stillborn, or, you know, has like severe health defects, the state is going to force me to have this baby. The state is going to force me to get on the verge of death before it's going to allow me to have surgery to remove a fetus that I can't birth out. Nightmare shit. And if the shoe were on the other foot, this wouldn't even be a question. If this were men having to deal with any of this, you know, this wouldn't even be a question. Who's this guy on my screen swinging his arms, yelling about something? If the Democrats get 270 points, they win. Okay. I think I had something to say about this. I really don't have much to say about this. Whatever. If you want to watch Obama talk about this, that's fine. I'm done talking about the how disappointed I am in the neoliberals, and this is a 3-minute clip. I'd probably spend 30 minutes pausing and shitting all over every single fucking thing that he says. So whatever. I'm just going to avoid that. On to the next article that I want to show you. This obsession with like, oh, you know, George Bush and all these conservatives, come on over and endorse Kamala Harris. Stop. It's pathetic. Like I said before earlier in the stream, it's damning with faint praise. We shouldn't want these people in our party. We shouldn't want these, you know, them to agree with us. What we want from them is for them to hang their head in shame and convert over to our party, right? You know, but no, they want, you know, and the neoliberals are classic with this, right? They let these people kind of get away with it, right? Oh, well, you know, Nicole Wallace, right? Oh, well, you can still be a Republican. You can be one of the honest ones. But commentary from Albert Hunt here. President Bush put country over party and endorsed Kamala Harris. Stop begging these fascists to, you know, it's like this desire, this wish for bipartisanship, you know? We need to politically crush these people. There's no room for this in a democracy. We need the GOP to cease to exist as a political party. That should be the goal. And what is the current goal? Nancy Pelosi and the DNC, you know, what do they want to do? You know, Hakeem Jeffries, what do they want to do? They want the political the GOP to go back to the George Bush era. To the neocon era. Right? What they would call honest opposition, when it wasn't even remotely close to honest. But they had a good grift going on. The grift was great, right? Because, the neoliberals would say, oh, gosh, shucks, and they still do this. I wanted to be liberal. I wanted to be progressive. I wanted to do the super progressive thing. But, oh, shucks, the right, we have to work with them. You know, we have no choice. And we just have no choice but to implement totally hardcore conservative ideology, right? We see that with immigration right now. Totally acquiescing to the right's idea of what is proper immigration, implementing almost word for word a heritage fund built immigration plan. And don't forget, Heritage Fund was a big part of forming Project 2025. That's the plan that Joe Biden put forward. That's what they want to do. That's what they want. You know, they want to resurrect this. They want to save these people. They want to save this party, the so-called left. They'll never learn. They pine for an era that will never return. They're happy to put us all in danger. We're right on the cusp of fascism. Kamala Harris could lose. That is totally on the cards. So they're putting the entire country in danger to do all this shit. Welcome back, James Clown and Female Eunuchs. Good to see you. Anyway, stop with the pining over these neocons, so-called lefties, so-called liberals. Stop with the nostalgia over Ronald fucking Reagan. You dumbasses. How about re-embracing progressivism? How about coming back to your roots? And, you know, this is the exact same message I give to the Labour Party in the UK. Welcome back, Sir Smoke-A-Lot. You know, what do we see Keir doing? Running to the right. And we got a little video on Keir at the end here. Let's try to get to it. God damn it. I told myself I wasn't going to do 2 hours of headlines first, and here I am, an hour and 22 minutes in. Fuck! JD Vance tried to fix this flipped Facebook live video. I think this motherfucker is a hillbilly, okay? He doesn't understand how mirrors work. It's doing this because it's cameras are automatically set up, you know, to flip it, right? So when you have text on the screen, right? When you have text on the screen, it reverses it, right? Because when you look into a mirror, when you look at something like this in the mirror, everything's reversed. So they do that automatically. So that feature or function was somehow turned off for JD Vance, and look at him. He doesn't know how his shit works. He doesn't know how this. I guess it's a technical thing, but look what he thinks. Like, look what this dummy thinks is gonna work, man. He kind of is a hillbilly. Look, we've all had blind moments. We've all had blonde moments. I mean, I'm a blondie. I have blonde moments every day. Every stream, I have a blonde moment. Remember when I couldn't name three cities in Texas? Oh, that was a nugget. That was a real golden nugget. This is pretty bad, though. To me, this is just shows how kind of, you know, he's a cipher. He flips it upside down. Well, it's still reverse. It just does the same thing. It just does the same thing. Flip that upside down. Yeah, here we go. His assistants are just as dumb. Just leave it. Oh, he's such a little empty-headed little dummy. Name 3 cities in Colorado. Oof. Denver? Is that one? Hell, Colorado, and Jameston Town, Jamestonville. There we go. Smart guy. Aurora. Oh, Aurora, Colorado. Of course, I should know that one. Yeah, Glendale. Okay, I don't have time for this. This is such a fucking joke. This is red meat. You guys like this kind of shit, though. Okay, everyone's smarter than me. Name 3 in Jamaica. Oh, you guys suck. You guys suck. I'm not that map guy. Okay. See, here's the difference between me and the frauds in politics. I'm not pretending to be a genius, and I'm not going to ban everybody for trying to like call me out. I'm okay saying these magical 3 little words that most political commentators can't say. I don't know. I know, and it's okay. It's okay. I'm a hero. I'm actually like a superhero. I'm okay saying I don't know. I need to learn. I need to learn. I need to, let's learn together, right? That's kind of the wonderful thing about this platform, this format. It's flexible that way. I do know what is right and wrong, though. See, and that's the those that work forces, the nasty money to lead the empire, those the nasty motherfuckers want to complicate things. They want to make it so it's like, oh, you have to be a mega genius just to wrap your head around it, right? No. No. What if I told you Israel's actions are not justified? What if I told you Russia's actions are not justified, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? It's like you actually don't need a degree in political science to understand what is right and wrong. The things that are happening in this world, why they're happening. A lot of the time, if you just stupidly follow the money, 90% of the time you get right to the answer. It's a superpower. Okay, guys, this is Red Meat. You're gonna love this. A nice, good old raucous debate. A nice, good old raucous. Because what do we have here? This is from Decoding the Gurus. Heavily recommend checking out this subreddit. It's a great subreddit where they get into these right-wing grifters, and analyzing. It's a podcast called Decoding the Gurus, and I don't listen to it personally. I should, but they get into, what are the techniques that you're using? How are they using rhetoric to twist opinions? Characters like Lex Friedman, we've talked about him before. There's another character called Constantine I'm going to be talking about soon. Similar, Jordan Peterson, right? Ben Shapiro, how they use language, how they use rhetoric. They're really clever. Name 3 porn stars. Okay, fuck you. He's got me. Oh, he's got me. Could I actually name 3? Probably. Put a gun to my head. I probably could. I don't really do names. I do, genres. Okay. Exclusively, old reel-to-reel footage, 1950s. Okay, I got a bush fetish. It's got, the bush has to be at least afro-sized or better, or I just can't, get there. You know what I mean? Yeah, the Ron Jeremy stuff. But no, okay. This is some red meat. That's the only reason why I'm showing this. It's this woman here is Politics Girl. She's on Twitter. She's kind of built a following for herself. She's known to be a firebrand. How the fuck do I send you my $5? Damn it! Let me subscribe. Damn it! Dirty Crackhead, thank you so much for coming back. I will be doing donations very soon. I'll be the whole thing. I got a whole plan. I'm putting it in motion. As things are happening, but you just got to be patient. Soon you will be able to give me money. Oh my God, even Smash has got some. Oh my God. Oh, this is gross. You guys are so gross. You're officially disgusting. Thank you, Lenny. And Lenny is, of course, always enthusiastic to say he wants to throw money my way, and I do appreciate that. And I really should be getting on that because my family could desperately need some extra money, so that would be great. But at the same time, I know everyone in here is, come on, we can't afford this shit. So I get it. I feel bad asking for money, but real news does require real money. Like real political activism does require real resources. So we can't forget that. The left is a bunch of cheapskates. That's how we roll. The right is happy to throw their money around. We remember that the Good Liars segment. They're selling the Trump Bible. The lady just starts, okay, here you go, and he's desperately trying to convince her that this is a scam. That okay, well, here you go. Here's your money anyway. Bye. I'm on the right and appreciate your content. Okay, we're just going to avoid that. It's okay. As long as I'm okay with right-wingers, as long as they're acknowledging reality. But the moment we're not all lunatics, well, not lunatics, but if you're still trying to hold on to this, identity, it's a whole other conversation. With that said, like I said, my only real criteria for not shoving my foot up a conservative's ass is, are they acknowledging reality? Right? When Trump says grab him by the pussy, when Trump says I want to be dictator for a day, when Trump says I have right here, that Aurora, Colorado is infested with diseased migrants. Does the conservative acknowledge that he said those things, first of all, but then does the conservative also acknowledge that is not in line with their supposed morality, their supposed principles? Because I don't think if I walked up to most conservatives and said, do you think, immigrants and migrants in Aurora, Colorado are infested and diseased? They'd go, no, I don't think that. Oh, I see. Okay, you're a conservative from the UK. That's totally different. The Tories in the UK, okay, that's totally different. But anyway, I've made my points on that. Let's get to this red meat. This is just for you. You guys are going to like this. Right-wing asshole getting shit on. It's good stuff.
As a professional, he knows exactly what he's saying, and as you said, it's not like he's particularly candid with the press. This is the guy that stood beside Donald Trump when Donald Trump was like, can't we just shoot the protesters? And he was like, no. He's like, can't we just shoot them in the knees? And he was like, no. And they ended up putting tears.
Sorry, and we're talking about Mark Milley's previous comments, by the way.
Gas on them, and they went and did the Bible photo. When we think about fascism, we have to remember that there are so many signs that are actually happening. There's weaponized nationalism, there's scapegoating of minority groups, there's mythology of a better time back in the day when we were great. There is all
you can tell she's super online, and she spends a good chunk of her time arguing with right-wingers, pushing back against their really lame talking points. She's completely and totally plugged in, right? She's definitely with it. She definitely has, her own neoliberal biases, right? But I think she's far more willing to criticize the neoliberal establishment than some other commentators. So it's good to see her on CNN. That's also why we're probably only going to see her on CNN very briefly.
Obviously, the cult of the leader. There's the weaponization of the Justice Department, the cutting down of the free press, right? And now he's talking about locking up political enemies. Yeah. He's talking about rounding up people and putting them in camps.
Eunuchs.
These are all fascist behaviors. And the sooner we stop pretending that isn't a word that could come to America, the better off we are, because this is a real fear that people should have. And if someone like General Mark Milley tells us that this is a real thing, then we need to listen.
I take Mark Milley.
But this is what I'm talking about, the weakness of the left, though, because we need to acknowledge that General Mark Milley is a representative of the military-industrial complex, is happy to lie to us about this. There's actually a lot of things that Mark Milley has said throughout his career that we absolutely cannot trust him on. He's happy to lie to the American public. Let's not forget, he was Trump's choice, and he was Trump's choice for a reason. He was an extremely loyal right-wing military general. But this is the weakness of the neoliberal supporting left, though, which is, this like, well, he's a right winger and he doesn't like Trump, so 100% legitimate, totally 100% legitimate in every way. And it's like, well, guys, okay, can we have a little bit more nuance here? Because the rhetoric walks you into a box, right? Because now all of a sudden, you're calling some incredibly extreme right wingers, you're legitimizing them, and it's only a matter of time before their ideology, you're starting to repeat their ideology and implement their policies. And it's just like I said, it makes sense to me for the neoliberal Democrats to become the new conservative party. That can only happen with a strong, verdant, robust challenge from the left. Basically, transforming this party, forcing these extreme corporate right wingers, out. I wouldn't be surprised neoliberals start calling themselves Republicans, right? And then, they start representing the Republican Party differently. If they want to keep the two parties, if you don't want to do a third party, because the third party is nearly impossible to do because of the Electoral College, et cetera, et cetera. Anyway, okay, back to the thing.
Milley tells us that this is a real thing, then we need to listen.
I take Mark Milley seriously. I also take the other people that work for Trump seriously, and a lot of them would not be as dark on Trump. Someone like H.R. McMaster.
I mean, a lot of them would be, Coleman.
H.R. McMaster wouldn't call him. I think he's a populist. He's a populist with some very troubling anti-democratic tendencies, but he is not Hitler. He's not Mussolini.
He's talking about good genes and bad genes at this point.
If he were a fascist, he had the opportunity of a lifetime to show us that during COVID by declaring an emergency and doing whatever he wanted, and he didn't do that.
That was when he was still surrounded by people like.
Yeah, exactly. She was still. They were still surrounded by the institutional elements that kept him in check, and that's exactly what Project 2025. The number one thing on the list is to get rid of these checks and balances that held him in check. And then there was also the incompetence issue. Trump didn't really care about COVID. He really was caring about his own shit. And he just didn't handle the situation. And that was the case for everything. His rampant, ceaseless incompetence was one of the main reasons why he wasn't able to be as an effective fascist as he will be in this upcoming election. And remember, the Heritage Fund and all these other right-wing think tanks, they took a look at the Trump administration. They said, yeah, no, there were some deficiencies there. There were some blockages. There was things that got in his way. So day one, and thank you, Supreme Court, for giving us all the power that we need, literally, like giving us the golden skeleton key, right, that unlocks all the doors, that allows us to do this. But day one, Trump can go ahead and put on a piece of paper. It's an official act. Elon Musk is in charge of the federal purge, going from every department, finding people that don't fit the political profile and kicking them out. Elon Musk is going to be in charge of that. It's all right there. It's all right there. And yes, it is 100% fascism.
General Mark Milley. He was still surrounded by people who could hold back his worst interests. The second version of Trump will not have any of those people.
I think you're right.
He will be absolutely surrounded by people that will say, sure, yes, let's shoot the protesters.
I want to know what the solution is, right? Like, so either he was
the solution is destroying the status quo corporate neoliberal establishment, but that is the one thing that will never ever be discussed on CNN, MSNBC, NBC, CBS, all these so-called liberal media establishments. It will, we need more AOCs. We need more of the squads. We need more Bernie Sanders. What happens when Democrats are challenged during and primaried? These so-called news agencies bandy out these so-called experts that say, oh, we can't be challenged. You can't challenge us now. If you challenge us, the Republicans are going to win. And you can't, how dare you primary us? And you can't do that. And they support these arguments. They support the never changing, the never evolving, never reforming neoliberal democratic establishment. They buttress that. They back that up. And they'll never have that fucking conversation about, yeah, there's only one other player in town. It's a big elephant in the room that they don't talk about. There's only one other player in town, and it's wildly inaccurate or inadequate. Sorry, inadequate. The neoliberal establishment. And all you need to do is look at the current state of the election. Kamala Harris, it's 50-50-ish. It's embarrassingly close. Big elephant, you say? Oh. Just reading your comment here. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Female eunuchs, 100%. So no, James Clown, you're from the UK. You're maybe not 100% acquainted with the U.S. Electoral College, but the neoliberals and the fascistic Republicans have built a system, have helped and support and created a system called the Electoral College that is designed, foundationally designed to reject third parties. So the only possible way we could get progressive left opinions in government is to primary the neoliberal politicians, right? When they're up for re-election in their local districts, they need to be primary. They need to be challenged from the left, and shamelessly, right? Because they would say, the CNNs of the world, the MSNBCs of the world would say, "Oh, don't do that, don't do that. You know, you're making them look bad. You're pointing out their corporate allegiances. You're allowing the Republicans to win. You can't do that. You can't do that. You can't primary. You can't primary." That's what they say every election season, but we need to reject that narrative and push as hard as we can to either defeat and replace, and then the ones that stick around, the ones that are able to stick around, have fear for the first time, because the Democratic neoliberal establishment doesn't fear their constituency at all. They don't fear the people that vote for them, right? They think they have the people that vote for them over a fucking barrel, right? Because it's either them or full-blown fascism. So for the first time in their political career, they would feel the heat of actual political pressure. If I don't actually come through and follow through on some of these liberal promises that I had to make to get re-election, I am going to lose my job. That's how democracy works, and that's what we need to do. And that's why I talk about how instead of appealing to the right, we need to be getting new voters. We need to be going into places that we know are democratically favorable, that are lefty favorable, but tens of thousands, millions of people have checked out of the political process. We got to get them back in. And the only way to do that is with populism, and then, of course, following through the best that you can with open transparency once you get into power. Not exactly doing what AOC is doing, which is like, she thinks she's playing the long game. She thinks eventually I'm going to be the head of this Democratic establishment. I'm young. I'm going to run for president. But she's capitulated. She's capitulated too much. She had tons of leverage, and she refused to use it for favors down the line. And it's a gamble, but I don't think it's going to work out. I think what we need to do is start talking about destroying this establishment, not trying to work with it and understanding it's a behemoth. That we need to understand it's a challenge, but we need to destroy the neoliberal democratic political status quo to get it to move. We have to get it to budge. We have to get it to move. Anyway.
The person who told us that he was going to have the best people in his cabinet and be surrounded by the best people. And now those best people are saying, yeah, he's a fascist.
Yeah, big room.
So
Thank you.
Was he
I agree.
hiring the wrong people and was not good at filling his cabinet? Or was he good at filling his cabinet and the people who were the best people think he's a fascist?
That's a good
It's
question.
got to be one of the other, right?
I mean, it certainly.
Well, I would say
seems
look at the results. You had a strong economy, low unemployment, a secured border, no world raging at war.
Lies.
All the
fucking lies. Just a litany of lies and misconceptions, right? That Americans have bought about Trump. Economy, completely no. The border, absolutely not. Didn't even finish the wall. The portions that he did finish were rusting up and falling apart as he was leaving. Easily subverted, either climbed over or dug under.
strong economy, low unemployment, a secured border.
Low unemployment. No, that was 100% Obama's unemployment rate. That
no world raging at war.
No world raging at war. Completely not true. Completely not true. The idea that he was a peacemaker just because he was so incompetent and didn't understand global politics that he barely dipped his toe in, and when he did, it was a complete joke. Remember when he bandied about his fucking daughter as a diplomat?
All the failures you have today, you didn't have under Donald Trump.
Lie.
Except we had
just to be clear, Mark, we're talking about Trump's.
And they don't, you especially, you do a daily show on CNN. You should be able to fact check this man in real time, and they don't, because the gaslighting works. They don't want to. Oh well, I could be technically wrong about one little thing, so I'm just gonna, but by acquiescing, this litany of lies that he just listed out is accepted as truth. Right? Well, they're not arguing against it. And one guy goes, yeah, well, but basically saying, yeah, okay, well, all those things are true, but those things are not true. It should be called out. And quite
Have
frankly,
under Donald
I think
Trump.
Mark,
you also
Except we
have
had
just-
the
quite frankly, this host who sits here every single day absorbing this shit every single day, she has to know that. And fuck, man, it's your obligation to call that out. That is a list. That is a list of oh, but then I'll look partisan. I'll look partisan. To the truth. You have a bias to reality, to the facts.
So
Just to be clear,
No, James, you're all right.
Mark, we're talking about Trump's character. We're talking about Trump's character
I
in large
understand.
part, what kind of leader he is. So I understand the economic case for Trump and all of that, but on the question of did he hire?
She acquiesces. It's not even fucking true, man. She's not even doing her job, man. She's not even fucking doing her job. Is she a conservative? Oh, I'll just acquiesce to your lies about Trump and his economy. Come on, CNN. You're either dumb or complicit. You're either dumb or complicit or incompetent. Which one is it? You're just going to hand over to the Republicans, huh? It's a fucking lie. He gave a massive tax cut to the rich. And the economy wasn't great for the lower and middle class. It didn't get any better. And then COVID hit. Didn't you say we'll like this? I'm sorry.
The economic case for
right,
Trump
I'll
and all
move
of
on.
that. But on the question of did he hire good people who then, after working with him, determined that they did not believe that he had the character to be president of the United States, or did he just mess up and hire a lot of bad people?
Well, but this is not a hypothetical. Donald Trump is not a hypothetical president. He was the president. You can go back and look at his record.
He was the
to see
president, and
that
40 out of 45 of his cabinet members will not support him. His vice president will not support him. His generals will not support him. He was the president. He was terrible. They're saying we worked as close as we possibly could
I
to
get
him,
it. You
and
have
we won't
nothing- I
hire him
get it.
again.
The Democrats
Those of
have-
us in the regular world, those of us in regular America who didn't work right next to Donald Trump, we don't know. So we have to trust the people that worked as close as possible to him. And the people who worked as close as possible to him, 90% of them are saying, do not hire this man again. He is a
I
danger.
get it. You've got
maybe
nothing
he
to
should
run
get
on
the
except
second
fear
best
of fear
Yeah,
of
you
Donald.
got nothing to run except fear. Except she just listed off a bunch of facts, but you got nothing to run on but fear, et cetera, et cetera. So you get it. There's 3 minutes of CNN. There you go, guys. If you want to watch the rest of this clip, if you were into that, it's right here. Here's the link. Moving on to the next clip. So I showed this before real quick. The fascist rhetoric is getting turned up. And there's no other term for this. This is fascism. This is otherizing, infested, diseased when using this language when referencing migrants. And there's also an intentional more trickle down, right? But there's also an intentional conflating of legal migrant and illegal migrant, right? As JD Vance, I think he said something about it doesn't really matter, right? Which is basically just saying if you're brown and I think that you're from a different country, you're guilty, which is the literal definition of racism. This language is intentional, and yes, it is fascistic. Really nothing much to say about that. This is dumb, whatever. Maybe I'll talk about this later. I'll just put this in my assholes section for later. Stupid Roger Stone bullshit. All right, I wanted to show this video here, a little update on the UK. I don't know if Leon is already here, if I've scared him away 2 hours in, makes sense. But I did want to cover this, more bullshit, more evidence that Starmer is a corporatist. Right. Okay. Everyone in the UK is afraid to call Starmer what he is, which is a neoliberal. But okay, he's a corrupt corporatist, and I think he's one of the most conservative. I think he's going to go down in history, at least according to my opinion right now, from where I'm standing. I hope to be wrong. I hope to correct myself and change. Maybe he does have a big plan, right? Maybe we're going to see that budget. And he's going to make changes to his proposal to the winter fuel allowance and not just barrel through and be like, oh yeah, I don't care if the whole party disagrees with me. I don't care if my constituents agree with me and people disagree with me. And I don't care. I'm never wrong. I'm Keir Starmer. I'm never wrong. That's what I believe what we're going to see in the budget is him, just not listening to any of the criticism whatsoever about the winter fuel allowance, not changing a single thing, not pushing that burden to the rich, and just more. And here we have another piece of evidence here that Keir Starmer would rather defend a corrupt ferry corporation, and you'll see the evidence in this video here that he would rather defend them. And then, but when he was in opposition, he was happy to say that this is an absolutely disgusting, anti-British thing to do. But now when he's in power, him and Holland, that's not our real position. I think right now he's the trajectory, and we're going to have to wait until see the budget. The budget's like 12 or 13 days out, something like that. So we got a little over a week on the budget there. But I think what we're going to see is Keir Starmer not learning a single thing. His own conference members saying, we don't want the winter fuel allowance. They're not buying the James O'Brien arguments that, oh, what do you mean? There's a bunch of pensioners that earn over $1 million. They don't even need it. They don't even need it. It's almost not about whether they need it or not. It's almost about like, really, you're going to get in here and implement austerity when we need it the least. And it's not austerity against the rich. It's austerity against the middle class and the poor. And yeah, pensioners that have $1 million home are middle class. Because I don't know if anyone remembers this, the real estate market has gone fucking bananas. All right, people that used to have a nice, modest $500,000, 300,000 pound home is now it's skyrocketed into the millions. Okay, that's not the pensioner's fault, and they shouldn't be means tested, out of a subsidy that they're used to taking advantage of. Not when there's fabulously wealthy people in the UK. Not when there's obscenely wealthy people in Britain. That yes can be taxed more. That could be burdened a little bit more. Okay, if we're dealing with a situation, there's just no more rich people in Britain, guys. They're totally taxed out. Okay, they're all leaving. They're an exodus. Oh, they're leaving the country. Oh, they've taken all the money with them. That is not the case, okay? What is the case, though, is that Keir Starmer is likely friends with a lot of those people and is seemingly trying to protect them. At the sake of his own popularity, at the sake of his own party, he could very well, at this rate, he could very well be a one-term PM. One term. The Tories dominate politics for 14 fucking years. Keir Starmer finally comes in, gets one fucking term before it goes right back to the Tories. That truly is embarrassing. That truly is embarrassing. But it really does depend on this budget. If that budget comes out and it's like, okay, we've adjusted the winter fuel allowance, we're still going to means test it, but we're going to put the burden on rich people to cover it, so we're going to means test it less. So we've tweaked it, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I don't think a single thing is going to be changed. He's be like, well, we warned you. We told you a month ago there's going to be a lot of hard decisions, a lot of hard cuts being made. And boy, oh boy, we mean it. Yep. And we didn't change a single thing. We didn't shift that burden at all to the rich. But anyway, those are my opinions on this. Let's watch this Channel 4. I believe it's Channel 4, right? Yeah. Channel 4 video here on Keir Starmer. P&O Ferries Row overshadows Starmer's 100th day as PM.
100 days ago, Sir Keir Starmer had a spring in his step as he led his party back into number 10 after 14 years in opposition. But the transition to government hasn't been...
So, I mean, just real quick, James the Clown, you agree that the Tory party also does not represent the working person, correct?
Smooth sailing, as the Prime Minister admitted in an interview to...
The Reform Party also does not represent the working people. Nigel Farage does not represent the working people. Right? No. No, it's not Reform. That's not the answer. To go further to the right, to go further xenophobic. No, that's not the answer, James. Does James like Nigel? No, James, no. No, come on, man. Don't do it to me. Don't be a Nigel Farage fan. Please, James. Please, no, please. He's nothing. We're getting nothing. No! No, James. No. No. Oh, there it is. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we just didn't do Brexit right? We just didn't do Brexit hard enough. Is that why it's been a total epic, complete fucking failure? Is that we just didn't do it right? Is that it, James? James, come on, man. Not very skibbity sigma, buddy. The true steel. They should make me the prime minister. Yeah, you think so? Really? Isn't the big, like, massive confidence, big ego thing, isn't that kind of played out? Is there a new thing? Is there a new thing you guys could be up to? The big confidence guys, you know? I'm king. I'm Lord. What up, Ford the Perfect? Charlemagne the God? No, not at all. It's a moral issue, Brexit. I want our leaders, left or right, to be solely responsible for lawmaking. James, you intentionally left the world's largest single market, and it's completely devastated your economy. Brexit has been an abject failure. And also the entire idea that Germany was making laws for you. Yeah, there were some regulations that you guys had to follow, but the hyperbolic comments that came from the Tories about how, the UK is making our laws, we have to listen to the laws of France and Germany. Way overblown. Way overblown. It's an ongoing process. It's So you commit seppuku. You commit seppuku, right? Your guts are all over on the ground, and you're desperately trying to scoop your guts back into your body cavity, and you're saying it's an ongoing process. It's an ongoing process. You see what I mean? It's like, James, so thank you for agreeing with that. It was hyperbolic to say that, the UK or the United Nations were, telling Britons how to live their life, just because there were certain regulations that they had to follow. It's a representation argument. But it didn't work out. It didn't work out because you're now in the process of desperately trying to remake these negotiations, because now you're not a member. Now you have to do it as an outside member. You're going to get worse deals, and you're ultimately going to have to accept more regulation. Right? The whole goal was to avoid these extra rules, to avoid the United Nations telling, Britons how to live their life. The end result of Brexit is going to be even more regulations, is even more rules that you're going to have to deal with.
To mark this first milestone.
There is always going to be choppy days, choppy moments.
Yeah, it's been a bit
I've been
choppy
through this
here.
before. You get these days and weeks when things are choppy. There's no getting around that. That is in the nature of government. You're under huge scrutiny.
Throughout the election
James.
campaign, Labour...
James, do you know what a Pyrrhic victory is? Do you know? I'm not trying to insult your intelligence, but if you don't know what that is, if you could look that up for me. I don't have time to do it for you, but Pyrrhic victory, I think, is the best way to describe that. Yes, I play Total War. Is that in Total War? They have a Pyrrhic victory? I didn't know that. I just bought a Total War game. I bought the second one, Medieval Total War. I bought the second one. Pyrrhic, is it Pyrrhic victory, not Pyrrhic? Yeah, when you just win. Medieval is epic. I gotta play it. The Total War series is great.
Repeatedly identified growth, not personal tax rises, as the source of funding for their plans.
And that's not going to work. That's not going. He's and I've talked about this before. He wants to put all this, all the hopes on growth, which means is that he wants to give big handouts to corporate UK, corporate Britain. Doesn't want to tax, doesn't want to. Okay, yeah, I get not wanting to increase the tax burden on the poor, on the middle class, but he also doesn't want to talk about tax raises on the rich, which is pretty fucking convenient. Pretty fucking convenient because they're sitting on mountains of cash. Mountains of cash. They're not spending it. It's not trickling down. Okay? Shit or get off the pot. Spend that shit. Oh, I don't want to spend it. Then I won't be a bazillionaire. Too fucking bad. I'm going to leave. Okay, leave. Get out of here. Right? Well, if we go. Oh, I don't. But I like being I like being British. I was born here. Yeah. Well, okay, then you should contribute. You know?
On Monday, they're set to host a crucial international investment summit where ministers will be trying to attract billions of pounds of capital.
We all have to contribute.
But the government has hit rough waters. The Emirati-owned shipping giant DP World, owner of P&O Ferries, was reportedly threatening to pull out and to postpone its £1 billion expansion of the London Gateway Port because of the new Transport Secretary's criticism this
James,
week.
That's so wrong. The U.S. has to work with all kinds of different countries' regulatory rules to do exports and imports. What are you talking about, James? The United States is doing all kinds of acquiescing to other countries' rules and regulations to do business with it. Come on, man. Take the L. Take the L. Hindsight is 2020. Hindsight is 2020. You can see now how big of a failure this was. Don't try to, just admit it. Just admit it, dude.
They're a rogue operator. We're cracking down on the way that they've treated employees. They will not travel with P&O Ferries? No, I've been boycotting P&O Ferries for 2.5 years, and I encourage consumers to do the same.
Listen to this scandal. I totally didn't even know about this, but this is quite the scandal. Just real, I see your comment there.
This led to an unusual public rebuke from Sir Keir Starmer.
Well, look, that's not the view of the government.
Oh,
what matters?
No, we don't think that. Come on, that's not the view. We're being too harsh. Wait till you hear the crime.
To me, is keeping our focus on that inward investment.
The transport
inward investment, growth. Basically, giving companies that do the crimes breaks. So giving them breaks, tax breaks, and regulatory breaks. Oh, that sounds like a person from the Labour Party to me.
Secretary's position dates back to an incident in 2022 when P&O fired 800 staff over Zoom.
I am sorry to inform you that this means your employment is terminated with immediate effect on the grounds of redundancy.
Management replaced
fires 800 people and then brings in the scabs.
Them with cheaper foreign agency workers in the full knowledge they were breaking some UK
so British, so patriotic, so Brexit, right? I bet you this guy was a big Brexiteer, right? But he was, but we're doing this for Britain. This is all about fucking beans and toast or whatever the fuck you guys are up to over there, right? This is all about the goddamn Union Jack and yeah. As soon as he gets an opportunity, fucks regular Britons. And what does Keir Starmer do when when he's outside of office? Happy to criticize. When he's in office, capitulate, bend the knee. Too harsh. Don't be too harsh on this anti-patriotic oligarch.
With immediate effect on the grounds of redundancy.
Management replaced them with cheaper foreign agency workers in the full knowledge they were breaking some UK employment laws. P&O claim the controversial decision, heavily criticised by the previous government, saved the company and 2,000 jobs. At the time, Keir Starmer was...
No. Don't get it twisted. I love me some beans on toast. Love me some shepherd's pie. Love me some Yorkshire pudding. Love me some beef Wellington. That was, of course... Beef Wellington was, of course... God damn it. It'll come to me. Hold on.
Also equally critical.
The way P&O have behaved has been absolutely disgraceful. It makes my...
So this is what he had to say when he was out of office.
Blood boil.
So-called fire and rehire practices are a target of Labour's new employment rights bill. But now in government, ministers are learning from this instance that they have to be more careful with their language. Whilst today, DP World...
They got to be careful with their language, criticizing an anti-patriotic, anti-British company. According to Keir.
Confirmed their chairman, Sultan Ahmed bin Salaya, will attend the summit. It's been seen as another instance of Labour struggling operationally.
I think the cabinet will be the first to acknowledge that there is a very significant difference between being in opposition and being in government. And I think in the first 100 days, arguably in the first 6 or 12 months, there's going to be a lot to learn because it's a totally different game. It's 24/7. It's intense attention, not only from the media, but for investors who are looking at every possible sign.
After also running into problems with donations, winter fuel allowance and back office staffing, Labour will be hoping with so many economic headwinds, Monday's investment conference and the budget now only 18 days away will help stabilise their course.
Yeah, but it's not though. The Langoliers down here for some reason. It's not though, because they're not going to change anything. They've hinted at it. They've trial ballooned it. People are like, boo, this sucks. Boo, change things, change things. Too much means testing, too much austerity. You know, look, I get you're trying to do pro growth, but there's like none of the you're cutting out all of the obligation that the rich need to, you know, that the Tories have been doing the 14 years of giving giving the rich breaks from the Tories. We got to shift some of that back to the rich. No. They're not going to change a single thing. That's my prediction. 18 days from now, it's going to be the exact budget that they promised, and people are going to be pissed. That's my prediction. It's like your election money sways politicians. Cutting off the EU's power can limit that. It didn't, though. It didn't do any of the things that you're saying that it would have done. And here it's happened. It's happened, and none of the things that you're saying should have happened. You're still in fantasy land. If anything, now the UK has to bend the knee even more. Now Britain has to bend the knee even more to the European Union. Oh boy, here we go. Have fun time. It's super fun, happy fun time news, guys. Which is bad. Thank you. See, James, that's all I ask, okay? That's all I ask from conservatives is that they accept reality, okay? Thank you. Thank you. For the love of God, thank you. Sometimes it takes a clown to laugh at the world. All right, super fun times begin, guys. It's Gaza news time. Northern Gaza, of course, has been, the IDF expertly, drained northern Gaza of all of its Hamas members. Wait a minute, I'm hearing something in my ear. No, okay. The latest news, Israel orders evacuation of parts of northern Gaza again amid intense fighting with what I assume are Hamas members that must have just popped up out of magic tunnels or something. Abandon nihilism, accept reality. It sounds like a proverb or something. It's so true, though. I mean, because we are in a post-truth political landscape, and a lot of the time when you see debates between so-called left and right, it's actually a debate between two unrealities. That there'll be critical parts of that discussion that are completely ignored because CNN or MSNBC it doesn't benefit whatever narrative that they're pushing. So there'll be elephants in the room that are just completely ignored, and both sides will be clashing with each other with their fake realities. Some like grand theater, some weird performance art, Welfare, liberty over GDP. See, James, you've probably heard this before. You're not a conservative. You're I would say you're more of a centrist, but yeah, man, you got to come to reality with the Brexit stuff, man. It's been a complete abject failure, and politicians like Keir Starmer avoiding talking about it, avoiding addressing the elephant in the room when it comes to Brexit is not a good thing. It should not be managed. It should be reversed. the sooner discussion about rejoining the European Union starts, the sooner the damage can be undone. But that's the Band-Aid needs to be pulled. People need to start talking about rejoining the EU. And hey, rejoin the EU on more favorable terms. Okay, James, right? Renegotiate. Hey, there's certain things certain regulations or certain laws that we're just going to, say super no to. Okay. But we need to start that conversation. Israel orders evacuation of parts of northern Gaza again amid intense fighting. Trigger warning, of course, trigger warning. You're going to see, I'm going to do the best I can to blur out bad stuff. But, this is Israel's war on Palestine. This is their attempt to destroy and delete Palestine. Wouldn't you know it that the imagery of destroying an entire country is triggering. Bad news. It doesn't look good.
This morning, the pitiful sight of Palestinians leaving northern Gaza in a hurry.
Yeah.
After the latest Israeli army order to evacuate. Hamas had told them not to move. And even the Americans say they're worried. These people are being driven from their homes for good.
And, that he's not lying. He's probably 100%, telling the truth. Hamas knowingly will tell civilians, and of course will even in some cases shoot at their own civilians for leaving, knowing that, because the idea is, as Israel creates more and more death, they think it benefits them. This is how bad Hamas is. This is how cynical Hamas is. And why the left and the West needs to come to terms with criticizing these theocratic terrorist operations, but they need to find a way to do it in an intellectual way, pointing out the deficiencies of the military-industrial complex, but also pointing out the deficiencies of these governments. Far too many lefties, I say this quite a bit, so I'll just move on very quickly, but far too many lefties have been knee-jerk defending these organizations as some kind of legitimate resistance when they are, in fact, holding Palestinians hostage. Does that mean a massive bombing campaign to destroy Hamas is justified? Absolutely not, because that's not how you destroy terrorism, as we've seen, right? The northern Gaza was supposed to be cleared. Famously, IDF finished its mission, moving on to Hezbollah. Oh, what do you mean they're back? What do you mean? How is that possible? Because you don't destroy terrorism at the end of it. You don't use a gun to destroy terrorism. You destroy terrorism by making a happy and healthy middle class. You destroy terrorism by treating Palestinians like human beings. That's the one thing that's so off the table, it's laughable. That meatball is rolled into the motherfucking mountains by now, okay? That discussion's off the table. Treating Palestinians like human beings. Ergo, the terrorism problem will never go away. That's intentional. The terrorism problem is part of Bibi Netanyahu and Ben Gvir's strategy to destroy the Palestinian territory and maybe even take Lebanon. If we're going to listen to some of these, I have some commentary from some government officials from Israel that you're going to want to hear after this news clip here.
But the Israelis stand accused of stopping food from reaching northern Gaza for the last 12 days.
Yeah, accused. Yeah,
so
more
the
than accused. They're
calculation
doing
is changing. Better risk being shot on the journey south than stay and starve here. We don't know where to go, says this woman. We will sleep in the street, and we're so tired. We don't have a shekel to buy anything to eat, says this man, though he doesn't blame the Israelis, but Hamas for holding hostages. The Israeli army wants these Palestinians to head for a so-called humanitarian zone further south, though they frequently...
And when Israel, kills this man, they will say, well, I mean, he deserved it because he probably voted for and supported Hamas. And here he is, he doesn't know, just somebody with a camera, some foreigner with a camera just gets in front of him. And he just, he just can't help and pouring out how much he hates Hamas. But no, they're monsters. They're extra special monsters. They don't understand humanity. They only understand hate and, division. And it's just, it's so tiring. It's so exhausting. At this point, it would just be nice for Bibi Netanyahu to get in front of a camera and say, "Everyone in the West Bank, get out. We're doing it. Enough pussyfooting around. We're just gonna finish this up before the election because we know the West will let us." You know, just get in front of a camera and just say, "What are you gonna do about it, Joe? Do it, Bibi. Just get it over with, man. Quit stringing us along with this."
Hostage.
Because what he wants to make their lives so miserable, the problem fixes itself, right? Where the Palestinians just voluntarily leave, go to a different country because it's so fucking miserable. That's what he would prefer. But human beings are too strong, man, and the Palestinians understand suffering better than probably any other people on planet Earth. Right? They're definitely up there, top 5 understanders of pain and suffering. They're not going anywhere. You're going to have to force them. You're going to have to, if you want to go super extreme with the death camps and stuff, sure. But at the very least, you're going to have to, at gunpoint, put hundreds of thousands of these people on buses and then dump them into another Arab country that is going to be rejecting and fighting you the entire time. So you're going to have to do something crazy like partially invade Egypt to open up a corridor to allow Palestinian ex-Palestinian refugees to come through, right? Because Jordan, Syria, Egypt, none of these countries are going to allow Palestinian refugees to come through. So you're going to have to do it by force. We have a saying that goes, "You either pull up your pants or take the cross off your neck." Right. So I think I agree with that, which is, you put up your shut up. You either do what you say, do what you actually believe in. I mean, I don't want it to happen, but what I'm tired of is, every single atrocity, some smirky, smarmy IDF representative gets in front of a camera and tells us not to believe our lying eyes, that these people are subhumans that deserve this and that it's all Hamas's fault. And then you go to the ground, journalist on the ground puts a camera in front of these Palestinians, in front of a Palestinian man's face, and he goes, "I fucking hate Hamas. Hamas needs to release these hostages right away." He's disgusted with this organization that's holding these people hostage. Anyway.
The Israeli army wants these Palestinians to head for a so-called humanitarian zone.
Yeah, that they will likely bomb. They've done that almost every single time. Almost every single time they said, "Go to this safe zone." Almost every single time they have attacked it. That is intentional.
The south, though they frequently bombed the area.
Sir Smoke
the conditions have been described as catastrophic.
No problem, James. Thank you for accepting reality.
This morning, a UN team arrived in the Jabalia refugee camp to escort those
with Jesus. Sorry, fuck me. I was trying to sorry.
Complex medical conditions to other Palestinian hospitals, including this boy who's being transferred from intensive care.
Kid's fucked up, dude. Holy
Over
shit.
150 people have been killed in this area during the last week of fighting. Though the Israelis say dozens of Hamas militants are now dead, this is their 3rd ground offensive here. The hospital's medical director is still refusing to obey an Israeli order to evacuate the whole building.
And that's a real hero. Absolute heroes. Very, very likely that he'll die, end up kidnapped by the IDF. Absolute hero. Absolute hero. There's, Israel will bomb the hospital.
Because although some of his patients are leaving under UN protection,
I can show you this.
Others are quickly taking their place.
No elevator, so they got to carry these patients down the emergency stairs.
Including these survivors of another airstrike this afternoon. This boy's brother was killed. And the more scenes.
Okay, this kid is literally holding his guts in like the scene from Apocalypse Now. There's a 15-year-old boy maybe holding his hand over a gaping wound in his stomach. I can't show it to you, obviously. He's covered in building dust. Looks like they pulled him out of the rubble of a building.
Like this, the more likely it is that the 400,000...
Oh, sorry. He was not covering a gaping wound on his stomach. His hand was actually mangled and covered in blood. So I thought he was covering up a wound. Turns out his hand was the wound. Just a correction there. It looks like he has other wounds on his feet and legs that the doctors are examining.
Palestinians, the UN reckons still live in northern Gaza, will decide.
Now we're looking at what appears to be a dead man who is lying in a hospital bed right next to the boy. The crowd. There's also a crowd surrounding this man. He looks deceased. He looks like he was also pulled out of the building.
That it's time to take their chances.
No, he's alive, but just very slightly. He's very slightly alive.
Go.
He's alive.
With so many now obeying Israeli orders, the plan is to separate Hamas from the civilian.
Yeah, exactly, Tisrael. I mean, the untold amounts of pain. It's all intentional. What is happening to the Palestinians is an intentional terrorist operation, right? It's like I said, it's to make the entirety of the Gaza Strip completely uninhabitable, to make the entire situation untenable. What's interesting to me though is that the Gazans are completely trapped. Israel, does not allow them to pass. The only other border that they have is Egypt, and Egypt has five layers of fence. You're not getting through there. There's a small enclave, of Palestinians in that little desert, but so it's to me, I don't really understand where the end game is, because eventually you're building up this pressure. You're pushing people up and down and up and down. You're building up this misery. You have to open up some kind of release valve.
It hides behind, so that it can then be bombed or starved into defeat. But as for what will happen to these people, nobody really knows. We've been displaced 11 times, says the...
I honestly, though, I think the most realistic what's going to happen, and you're going to see the clip of the finance minister Smotrich talking about, this being one of the options, but it's going to be an apartheid state. They're going to completely take over the Gaza Strip. The Palestinians will be, there'll be ghettos created for the Palestinians. The Israelis will take over all the beachfront property, all the valuable property. The Israelis will take over whatever, crappy desert or some place where they can cram all these Palestinians in. That's what they're going to do. And Smotrich talks about how they're not going to be given voting rights, right? So just expand the apartheid state to Gaza, completely take over the region, and allow the Palestinians to work as serfs, as second-class citizens in the remnants of what once was their own country, right? I think that's probably the most likely scenario.
This woman. That's every month since this war began. So this is just their latest hunt for the bare necessities of life and somewhere safe to sleep tonight.
Jesus Christ. Every building. Building.
In Lebanon, Israeli attacks have killed 9 people in 2 villages, one south of Beirut and one to the north. This after a 5th UN peacekeeper was injured when their headquarters were hit again by the Israelis.
Again.
Let's get more from our international editor, Lindsay Hilsum.
So remember, when I was reporting on this last time, the UN, they intentionally attacked this UN outpost. Supposed to be peacekeepers, UN peacekeepers there. The IDF knows that the UN is not going to be shooting at them. They intentionally struck them and said, you got to get out of there. It's dangerous, too dangerous for her. The UN has to leave. The UN said, okay, we'll think about it. Israel strikes them again. And now another person from the UN has been hurt. The reason why Israel wants UN to leave is the same reason why they don't want. They're killing the journalists and they're killing all the aid agencies. They want to be the only ones providing a narrative from that region. They don't want any other international body, any other fair and open journalistic operation telling the story of this region. They want to be the sole explainers of the war crimes that they're committing, right? So that's the big reason why they want to get these peacekeepers out of there, because it's an international observer. It's hard to lie about situations when you have an international observer right there.
In Beirut. Lindsay.
Matt, just as you were saying that the Israeli military is giving evacuation orders in Gaza, they're doing the same here. They put out a statement today telling Lebanese to leave another 23 villages in southern Lebanon. They do that because they want a free fire zone. In fact, most civilians have left, and many Hezbollah rather have left as well. But what the Israelis want to do is they're looking for what they call terrorist infrastructure. They're looking for tunnels. They're looking for arms dumps. What's also
conveniently they just anything that they hit and blow up, they call it that. Now, with that said, they do seem to be a little bit more careful in Lebanon for the time being. They're not literally just systemically carpet bombing every single residence and building and just saying, oh, there's tunnels underneath everything. They're not there quite yet.
Noticeable
in
today
Lebanon
is that Israeli attacks have taken place all over Lebanon, including in several places to the north of Beirut. Now, why is that? It suggests that the Israelis are tracking members and leaders of Hezbollah who have now dispersed throughout the country. They have left southern Lebanon and they are just in the mountains and hills, in the villages and in the towns. That obviously makes it extremely dangerous for ordinary Lebanese people who may dislike both Israel and Hezbollah. But what's also very apparent is that the Lebanese state, the government, the MPs, the police, the military are powerless to do anything about it. At the site of Thursday's Israeli attack in central Beirut, a visitor today
fully support Israel.
The Speaker of the Iranian Parliament.
When Ted Cruz and Donald Trump, when they talk about Israel, they have big smiles on their face when they talk about the eventual destruction of the entire Palestinian state. The voters, useful idiots. Most voters don't really care what happens. Most United States voters don't really care what happens in the Middle East. It's you know, it's just kind of like it's just kind of a simple, you know, get them before they get us over here. But a lot of the time, though, no, I mean, that's not the case. I mean, a lot of the time, a lot of hardcore American conservatives will question why we're spending so much money in all these countries. You know, they question it less when their guy's in charge, of course. Hell, they'll even call Donald Trump a peacemaker, even though he didn't get us out of Afghanistan, didn't get us out of Iraq, and, you know, flirted with nuking North Korea, et cetera, et cetera. But no, he's a peacenik. He's a peace president. But no, I don't. You know, it's the conservatives over here. They generally they allow themselves to be lied to by right-wing people who say we have to do this because if Israel doesn't do this, the scary brown people who are not Christian and they're scary and they say Allah Akbar, guaranteed they will attack Israel without a doubt. Israel has to do these things preemptively. They're under existential threat. Most right-wingers in the United States are happy to buy that tripe without question, because mainly it doesn't, you know, they don't really dig any deeper because it doesn't really affect them, you know.
Escorted through the gaggle of cameras by Hezbollah, which, he said, has Iran's full support.
I'm carrying a message from the Supreme Leader for the Lebanese people with assurances that in these difficult conditions,
I'm speaking
the Islamic
generally
Republic
as well.
of Iran will stand with Lebanon's nation and government and the resistance in all areas.
I mean, I gotta say, I almost expect a fucking, you know, IDF missile to come flying in at any moment during one of these you know, speeches with Iranian guys. I mean, they're decapitating everybody, which is, you know, no love lost for this regime. You know, no love lost for these theocrats, but there is a third way. There is a third way. You can carrot and stick these regimes into treating, you know, into respecting human rights more without blowing them up. It's slower. It is slower, though. It sure is slower.
And that, according to Lebanon's Christian politicians meeting north of Beirut today, is what got the country into this mess. Hezbollah acting on behalf of Iran, not of Lebanon, and provoking Israel.
We blame Hezbollah fully. I mean, we would not be.
This is the MP for Lebanese forces.
In this situation, if they hadn't declared the support for Gaza to begin with. And despite all the warnings and advice that we gave everyone with regards to this unwanted war, they went ahead with it. And this is what we see, the consequences today. It's devastating.
May Shidiak was blown up by a car bomb 20 years ago after she criticized Hezbollah and Syria. The situation that Lebanon is in now, to what extent do you blame Hezbollah for that?
Knowing my personal history, I can...
Okay. She's great. She's great. Well, they did ruin my life 20 years ago when they completely crippled me. So, I might just want to let you know I'm a little biased. Just to let you know, just up front, not my favorite set of guys.
Knowing my personal history, I consider that Hezbollah is the first one to be blamed for what happened. They miscalculated their decision to take part in the war.
Exactly. October 8th, right? When they gave a little token retaliation along, with Hamas there after October 7th. Total mistake, absolutely miscalculation. Really, the whole, the antagonizing, and I've talked about how it perfectly falls in line for Bibi Netanyahu and Ben Gvir's strategy for the erasure of the Palestinians and I guess the erasure of Lebanon as well. You'll see what I mean with comments from Smoltrich here in a minute. But it backs up the strategy. Hezbollah and Hamas might as well be working for Bibi. They play these terrorist organizations like fiddles. And she's totally right. Hezbollah over here, they don't know what they're doing. Iran should cut off the support. Look, call these guys back into your country. Okay, these are supposedly, your dudes, right? Like stop giving them money and tell them to come back to Iran. But this whole idea that you're gonna, little piddly rockets and little terrorist pokes, you're going to somehow scare the Israelis into accepting and living with their Arab neighbors. And that's just, like I said, it gives them fuel. It gives the extreme right-wing elements of the Israeli society all the fuel that they need to continue this attempted genocide. The madness needs to stop. The madness needs to stop. And yes, we do need to talk about Hezbollah and Hamas and how culpable and guilty that they are. Of course, that doesn't mean all the crimes committed by the IDF are justified and all that. Of course not. It's a little bit more complex than that. But a lot of leftists are leaving this out of the conversation because it's too complicated. And they also feel like, well, if I criticize these organizations, I kind of am acquiescing and agreeing with the IDF narrative of, their defense is justified because these are terrorist organizations. We got to get beyond that. We got to become better commentators on this serious situation. We have to become more serious about it and understand it better, lefties, so that we can properly criticize it.
That started in Gaza, and they paid a very big price. I don't know if they were expecting the price to be that high.
It isn't.
We would have rather...
The Arab world, including Palestine, totally justified in resisting the oppression of Israel, 100%. But you can resist incorrectly. You can resist in a way that benefits your enemy. And that's exactly what we're seeing with this, barefoot rusty AK, firing rockets. It's not working, man. It's not working. And like I said, Bibi Netanyahu is a very, very smart man, and he is fully utilizing these useful idiots. In fact, there's a lot of evidence to point that he helped create Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Lots of evidence. Haaretz, I get into it.
Stayed away of it because it was their own decision. They didn't consult
Smash,
anyone about.
So Smash, I totally disagree with you, Smash, because yes, technically the birth of Israel, the whole thing. Going back to, it's a British colony, and here you go. The Palestinians won't care. Here you go, Israel. It's your new country. Sure. There's big problems from the very beginning, but we are stuck. We are stuck. The only real solution is a two-state solution, and the only way we can get to a two-state solution is if the United States forces Israel to do it. There is no future where Israel is erased, Israel is removed or deleted, right? Like that initial crime in 1940 after World War II is made up for. We need to accept the existence of Israel. The left needs to accept the existence of Israel. But that does not mean that we acquiesce to Israel completely dominating the entire region. But we do have to accept that it's an entity that is there, deserves to exist, and needs to be negotiated with. There's never going to be a future where Israel doesn't exist. So we have to get over that. The whole river to the sea left. No, erase that idea. It's so easily aligns you with Hamas and Hezbollah, because that's exactly what they talk about. We'll never die until Israel is completely destroyed. Damn, you don't look like Seth Rogen anymore. That hurts. That hurts. Seth Rogen is a handsome man.
Okay.
Today's meeting of the biggest...
You want a joke? Your fucking sex life, bitch. How's that?
Christian party could never solve the central problem. For years, Lebanon's fractious political factions have failed to create an effective government.
Thank you for following Photos Printed.
Leaving Hezbollah to become a state within a state. Today, Israel launched more airstrikes across the country, while Hezbollah continues.
Tell me a joke. Tell me a joke. You want a joke? You want a joke? Greasy broccoli hair. That's disgusting looking. I'm sorry. I don't know.
Used to fire rockets across the border. Lebanon's weak government and army can do nothing to stop either of them.
The only thing I'm good at is being mean to people. That's the only thing I'm good at. That's the reality. Okay, that was bad. That was bad. Unfollow. Okay. So I've been hinting at these statements here. So I think this was a video made before October 7th. Please correct me if I'm wrong. No, you're right, Cam Galbin, you're right. But so this is the finance minister, high up in government. This is not just some chump. Okay, this is a guy making decisions in the Israeli government right now, and this is what he says is the plan for Lebanon, is that the plan for the Palestinians. Let's go ahead and take a look. The political plan part 2. What is it? First, we'll extend Israel sovereignty to the whole West Bank. Conquered the entire West Bank. And I'd like to offer the Arabs 3 options. Hey, what are you going to do, Arabs? We're going to take over your country, you heathens. Here's your options. Firstly, in return for renouncing Palestinian national aspirations, that's a really fancy, funny way of saying, your love for the country you were born in, right? A pretty common thing that most human beings get, but not the Palestinians. They're not human. Don't forget that, right? They literally don't deserve a country. They literally stole it from the Jews in the 1400s. So anyway. In clear terms, their aspirations to kill the Jews, right? So that's the same thing. If you are a Palestinian that believes that you have a sovereign country, you by default believe. I'm trying to get the subtitle here. Firstly, yeah. So if you have Palestinian national aspirations, you by default believe in the destruction of the Jews. There's no other. It's 1 + 1 = 2. That foundational lie is essential to Israel committing its war crimes, right? And of course, every U.S. politician, every U.S. mainstream media outlet will accept this as truth. Not explicitly. Jake Tapper doesn't come out and say it, but implicitly. They implicitly accept this as a reality, that Palestine can't exist because it's a direct existential threat to Israel's existence. I love the music. It's so cheery. So cheery. Here we go. Accept annihilation. Accept annihilation, dirty Arabs. Doot 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 doot. Okay. We will offer them resident status without the right to vote. Hey, aren't they merciful? And it's just going to end with that, right? As we've seen with the apartheid state in the West Bank. It's just one little rule, one little thing. I mean, you're Animal Farm, right? You're equal, but some are more equal than others. Isn't that great? We don't want you dirty Palestinians voting in our pure Israel elections. You might vote for people that disagree with us. You might vote for politicians that think you're human. So you can't do that. We're happy to work you for pennies on the dollar, though. Would you like to come work in our clothing factories and our SodaStream manufacturing factories? Would you like to make some soda streams for pennies on the dollar? We're happy to exploit you, but you're not human. So you don't really get real citizenship. Oh, by the way, you're going to be forced to live in a ghetto too. You think Palestinians are going to be allowed to just live in any Israeli apartment building, huh? Yeah. You think an Israeli is going to allow a Palestinian family to live across from them? Yeah, you think so? After they've completely annexed the West Bank and completely annexed the Gaza Strip, all of a sudden these loving Israelis are going to let Palestinian families who don't have the right to vote live side by side in harmony, huh? Is that what's going to happen? No. It's going to be a ghetto. For those who struggle to abandon their Palestinian nationalism, right? It is truly a hellscape. Wow. It's, and it's Nazi shit.
With the anti-Semitic remarks.
I'm sorry. This is Nazi shit. I'm sorry. Godwin's law, this is Nazi shit.
You
got two other options. To emigrate to another country, huh? And the state will help you with that. Oh, is that the plan? I'd be delighted to kick you into another Arab country. I like how they added that little part right there. This is Bezalel Smotrich, finance minister in the current Israeli government. He's like number 3 or number 4 in the Israeli government. Very, very close to Bibi Netanyahu, one of the major decision makers in Israeli government. I'll help you myself, bitch. Get in the car. Let's go, you dirty Arabs. I'll drive you to Egypt. Beep, beep. So, and those who are uncomfortable with the word peace, because that's their version of the word peace. That's their version of peace. Isn't that cute? That's peace. When all of you are forced to shut up and live in your fucking apartheid state, or I'm going to force to immigrate you, if you don't accept that as peace, well, we have a third option. And what do you think that third option is, huh? Hugs and kisses. Big hugs and kisses. Kill you with kindness. Right. We'll defeat them. There you go. I don't know if this was before October 7th or afterwards, but that's who these people are. I have more evidence of this. President of Israel, Isaac Herzog, says that Zionism and settlements are inseparable, and the latter is necessary for national security. So, oftentimes in Western media, you hear two-state solution flirted with. You hear like, oh, well, the assumption, the implication is that Israel is open to a negotiation on two-state, and it's really just the Palestinians that have just been totally intractable, and really it's just about the adults coming to the table and having a real negotiation. What the mainstream media fails to inform you about is that there's absolutely zero inclination whatsoever within the Israeli government. All the viable political parties within the Israeli government have zero interest in a two-state solution. That's the little thing that they don't mention, is that it's so wildly, completely, and totally off the table. It's actually absurd and insulting at this point to be talking about it as if it's something that's just, right around the corner. So here's 17 seconds of the president of Israel to back up exactly what I'm saying. Settlement has existed since the dawn of Zionism. They are inseparable. Right, and we're supposed and Joe Biden and the U.S. government would have you believe that the Israeli government disagrees with the settlements. Oh, well, they technically think that the settlements are illegal. Israel currently, they accept that the settlements are illegal, and they're currently negotiating with the settlers to leave. And it's part of the plan. It's part of the fucking plan. It's an opportunity to emphasize how much it has been proven and continues to be proven that Zionism and settlements are essential. So what happens when you win, though? You start taking more? That settlement is vital for the people of Israel and security of Israel. Right, and like I said, the West, the United States would have you believe that this government doesn't agree with settlers, doesn't agree with settlements, doesn't try to help settlers, doesn't assist the settlers. It's a lie. It's theater. It's a total fucking fabrication. It's complete fabrication. They support the settlers. It's part of the Israeli government's strategy. It's only a matter of time before the settlers start leaking into Gaza. Last two clips here. A doctor who worked in Gaza calls out CNN for its complicity in whitewashing the genocide taking place. So this is always lovely to see. And one thing that I really love seeing is when you do this on CNN or MSNBC, the host gets all indignant. The host gets all, their feathers get ruffled. They have to defend their boss. They have to defend their job. And they go, what do you mean? We're real journalists. What do you mean? We're doing our jobs. We're not dropping the ball. We're not acquiescing. We're not lying by omission. We don't do any of that. We're America's #1 news network, super unbiased, no, super information, super everything. Right? Hi, I'm Lester Holt. Hi, I'm Lester Holt, here to tell you I'm not lying to you at all. So it's always great when you see that's my favorite part of these videos is the reaction from the CNN host. So let's see what we got here.
What do you think is going to happen with this humanitarian crisis with the additional factor of Gaza's about to enter the winter, which often brings heavy rain to the region?
Kate, in all honesty, a humanitarian crisis is what you deal with when you have a hurricane, what you deal with when you have an earthquake. You have an insult and a humanitarian response. This is my career. This is what I do for a living. Every single person who does this for a living will tell you the same thing. Lenny. This is different.
They're not allowed to have a job at MSNBC. If you're a journalist who is acting like Walter Cronkite, Mehdi Hassan, for example, you get the fucking boot.
This is not a humanitarian crisis. Kate, and I'm going to say it very clearly for your viewers to hear, this is genocide. When 70% of the population that are killed are women and children, when the population is starved of food, of water, of medicine, when you have attacks, repeated
like and subscribe
attacks
to Gorps Inc., folks.
All the hospitals, the clinics, the aid distribution sites, the humanitarian aid agencies that try to help. More UN workers have been killed in Gaza than in UN's history. When you have over 900 families that have been exterminated.
Props to the host, not interrupting her, not cutting in. Okay, so, usually it goes the other way. So she's probably, her producer is screaming in her ear right now, move on, move on, move on, move on. But props to the host for staying stoic and allowing this woman to finish what she's saying. I think, we'll see.
That have been taken off of the civil registry, killed. When you have over 17,000 children that have lost one or both parents.
Come on.
When you have bakeries,
that's what's happening in her ear right now.
Sites, churches, mosques, schools, and in the last 3 days, in the last 24 hours,
cut her off.
A hospital today that was bombed, as you just reported, the hospital where I personally was working, and I can tell you, they are working every second of every day to try and sustain life.
Cut her off.
When
right here.
Israel's strategy And evidence on the ground suggests that they're doing the exact opposite. They were targeted today. There was a rehabilitation center that was targeted in the last 24 hours, and there was an orphanage
I take
that
it
was.
back. So the producers switching over to her. That maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong about what's happening over there, because we have the producer actively not only allowing the diatribe to continue, but then switching over the focus back, to her exclusively. Okay, so that's intentional. All right, props to CNN on this one.
Rehabilitation.
Of course, I condemn October 7th. Of course, it was a terrible idea. Obviously, the lives lost, disgusting, but it was a gift to Bibi Netanyahu wrapped in a bow. Terrible strategy. They didn't know what they were doing. They took a bunch of hostages. They didn't know they didn't keep track of them. The whole thing, amateur hour, clown world. That's not how you do a proper. They should have focused instead of, like the eager little terrorists that they were going to the music festival. They should have been exclusively attacking military targets, trying to take as many military hostages as possible. They didn't do. It's just a complete. It's not resistance. It's terrorism. They were too stoked to murder. They were too stoked to kill. Because they're not professionals. They don't represent the Palestinians. So no, October 7th was an absolute tragedy. On top of that, a massive strategic blunder by the so-called government in the Gaza Strip.
Center that was targeted in the last 24 hours, and there was an orphanage that was targeted earlier this week. These are the types of places that are being targeted. And so it's really hard to hear it over and over and over again, framed in the way that it's being framed in the media, which, frankly, Kate, is very misleading. It is very misleading. 365 days of this. Death tolls that are so far outdated, we have no idea how many people are killed, but
yeah, that's true. Mainstream media is still using numbers like from 6 months ago.
I am genuinely afraid about what we're going to find out when the dust settles. History books will be written on this, and countries will have to reckon, media agencies will have to reckon with their major role in the genocide of an entire population and in the destruction of humanitarian law.
So she's totally correct. I've talked about this before. Like, what happens when Israel just goes for it, right? And that map switches, right? And the West Bank disappears, and that Gaza Strip disappears, and it just becomes Israel. Are these organizations going to do a mea culpa? Are they going to analyze their culpability in that? No, of course not. It's going to be okay. Well, they're just going to do a Google, like, well, okay, it's now Israel's. Google famously updates their maps of the West Bank, according to what Israel has stolen, right? Totally acquiescing to the colonization of the Palestinians, just quietly acquiescing to it. Just okay, Israel has stolen this amount of land. Okay, shrink the map. It's adorable. But no, props to CNN for allowing this woman to speak uninterrupted. They did that for Crimea as well. Yeah. Isn't that adorable? Isn't that great? No, that's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. There's going to be no mea culpa. There's going to be no coming to reality or, coming to earth and having some kind of heart-to-heart with America. No. Whoops. In the territory once identified as Palestine, we had an interview, just total acquiescence. That's what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. I talked about this briefly yesterday, just one more time, wanted to talk about it because I think it's disgusting that this pro-Palestinian hacktivist group, no one is calling out in the mainstream media when talking about this, that this is a heavily Russian-connected organization masquerading as a pro-Palestinian group, actively attacking an essential element of the internet, doing this under the guise of Palestine. It's disgusting. This is not activism. This isn't hacktivism. This is cyber terrorism coming from fucking Russia. And the mainstream media all too happy to let the lie spread that this is about pro-Palestinian activism, when all you need to do is a little fucking digging, Okay, and you see the connections here. So look, it's in the comments. It's in the comment section of Reddit. So hold on, there was evidence here. Yeah, right here. It's right here. Links, evidence. Sure, it's Reddit. Okay, it's all fake. This person's completely faking everything. Let's read and find out. This group claims to be pro-Palestinian, and it's entirely based on Russia. So here's an article right here. Middle East financial institution hit with 6-day DDoS attack. Researchers at cybersecurity firm Radware said the attack was launched by a group called SN Black Meta, which they claim is made up of pro-Palestinian hacktivists. Telegram group. Hold on here. Yeah. Yeah, okay, here we go. SN Black Meta has operated its Telegram channel since November 2023, boasting of DDoS incidents and cyber attacks on infrastructure in Israel, the Palestinian territories, and elsewhere. While all of the group's messages focus on the Palestinian territories and perceived opponents to Palestine, many of the posts are written in Russian. And look, if you're not down with the propaganda, if you're not sure what the hell I'm even talking about, pro-Russian bad actors are disingenuously using Palestine because it makes America look bad. It makes America look like, well, frankly, what it is, a bunch of, blood-soaked monsters supporting Israel. So it's opportunism. Right, it's like Russia doesn't support human rights disasters, but look at America and the West's support of Israel. To be fair, it's totally appropriate to be calling out the hypocrisy, right? But they're not doing it from a place of honesty. They're not doing it from a place of journalism. They're doing it from a place of propaganda. The group's account on X also shows that it was created by someone in Staria, a town in Novgorod Oblast, Russia. The account's initial language was also set to Russian. How do they have evidence of that? That's awesome. How do they know when the account was initially set to Russian? That's weird. The researchers added that the analysis of timestamps and activity patterns showed possible evidence that the actors within the group are operating in a time zone close to Moscow Standard Time or other Middle Eastern European time zones. So they're posting on Telegram in Russian. The account was made in Russia. They post predominantly when people are awake in Russia. And have you heard? Because I'm sure you've heard of this story, right? Of this hacktivist group, pro-Palestinian hacktivist group, going after the Internet Archive, right? Look at this. Watch. We'll go to the Gizmodo article. Look at this. Russia. Let's see here. Do we have any? Look at this. They don't even, in the entire Gizmodo article, they don't mention Russia. They don't even, it's just pro-Palestine. They're just pro-Palestine. They don't even mention Russia once. This is the state of journalism. This is the state of journalism and what we have to deal with. This is why, look, not to toot my own horn here, but this is why, the News Underground and other independent journalist operations are important. As you look at this, you think, okay, pro-Palestine assholes and people who are pro-Palestine, decided to do something really destructive. And the mainstream media just going right along with it, dude, spreading Russian propaganda. Yeah, and Kem Goblin makes a good point as well. This, the main reason why there are a lot of outlets were probably aware of this, but it supports the anti-Palestinian narrative. Go with it. Go with it. And look, sure, I don't. Oh, it's Reddit. It's Reddit. It's Reddit. No, this person linked us a Gizmodo article backing up. No, not a Gizmodo article, but The Record over here, written by Jonathan Gregg, talking about a previous incident about this hacktivist group. They did their homework on it. Account created in Russia. They post predominantly during Russian time zones. The Telegram posts in Russian. None of that mentioned. None of that mentioned about this Internet Archive attack. Amazing stuff. And, big props to the users on Reddit. Look, it's not perfect by any fucking means. Reddit, it's a cesspool. But you do get these, there's some really informed people. Like, one of the reasons why I really like digging into the comment sections is for this. Not at the top, right? It's not a bunch of stupid jokes and bullshit. But it's in there somewhere. Oh, actually, there's a big part of this story that no one actually knows about, and here's a link, and here's a source, and here's an excerpt from that article, and it's not all maniacs and pedophiles on Reddit, is what I'm trying to say. Damning with faint praise. That's okay. That's welcome to Reddit. Okay, it's not 4chan. Russians trying to delete history once again. They're, Sometimes their propaganda is laughable. Other times their propaganda is incredibly effective. I guess it just depends on who's doing it, right? And if it's, maybe luck as well as an element. All right. Whoops. All right, that's all I got for today, folks. I'm sorry. I got to go take care of the kid. I know, 3 hours, that's all you get on a Saturday? 3 hours, that's all you get? Well, don't worry, folks. This is a 3-day weekend. I think. Do we get... Hey, honey, do we get Monday off? Okay, yeah, 3-day weekend. Thank you, babe. So, 3-day weekend. I'm going to try to get one in tomorrow. I got to heavily focus, though. It's going to be a very short one. But that's why I'm leaving early today as well. I've got to heavily focus on something. Halloween party, I got to focus on something. But I'll get another one in on Monday as well. Thank you, Lenny. Thank you, female eunuchs. Thank you, everybody. No, seriously, it's you. It's you that makes the News Underground interesting. Interesting. It's you guys. It's the chat. It's the regulators that make this a place worth coming to. This isn't a one-way avenue. This isn't an ego project. This is about changing the world. This is about attacking and defeating the enemies of freedom and liberty. Actually, this isn't about cash and checks. Tim Pool, Benny Johnson, Dave Rubin, you pathetic pieces of shit. Fucking sewage. But no, folks, let's not forget why we're here. It's called political activism. It's a lifestyle. It's not a hobby. Step 1, we inform ourselves. Step 2, we put our name down and volunteer for an organization that we believe in. And step 3, we put in the work and we do it shamelessly. We let motherfuckers know what we up to. We have those awkward conversations on Thanksgiving about what is and isn't right, about what kind of human rights disasters and crimes against humanity are being committed, and we stand against it. We kook and swoop. Peace in that motherfucking Middle East and glory to the Ukrainian democracy. I'll be sure to give every single one of you proper props tomorrow. Very sorry. I don't have time for props right now. I know. I suck. I know. I'm a piece of shit. I know. I'm running right up to the wall. Right up to the wall. Every one of you in the chat deserves props. Every single one of you are amazing. Thank you for being here. News Underground, folks. Abandoned Nihilism, a.k.a. The Harbinger. Big props. Be well. Take care. Thank you, Lenny. Thank you, Chem Goblin. Smash. Female Eunuchs. Woke Patriot. I got to do it. Tisriel. YS Kanye West. Photos printed. Gorps Inc. Huntington Chess. Bong and Stuff. James Clown. Great conversation, James Clown. Gotta do it. Sir Smoke a Lot. Thank you, Sir Smoke a Lot. Woke Page. Doesn't feel right not giving you guys props. Internet Bacon Machine. Big props to you. Thank you for coming back. Internet Bacon Machine. Long time no see. Ford the Perfect. Ford the Perfect. He's got his towel. Ford the Perfect. He soaked his towel in nutrients. He's ready. He's ready to hitchhike. Ponder Monkey. Big props to Ponder Monkey. The Big Room. Big props to The Big Room. Thank you for coming back. The Big Room. Chem Goblin, once again, big props to Chem Goblin. Dirty Crackhead, it was really good to see you. Thank you, Dirty Crackhead, for all your support. Rock's Fist, big props to Rock's Fist. Smash! Thank you, Smash. All right, everybody, thank you so much. News Underground. Have a good day.
Yeah, we're gonna do a nice
Yo, bong and stuff. Paging Dr. Green Thumb.
News Underground, thank you for being here.